Hey everybody, it's Chad with Nobody Else's Auto. Sunday evening, 7 o'clock Central Standard Time for Sunday Night Live Chat. As always, we're live on two formats, Facebook and YouTube. Looks like Facebook just connected as well, so hopefully everything's up and going. We'll give everybody a few seconds to get their notifications, know that we are on and ready to go, and then we will get into tonight's chat. Obviously, been a big week in the car world with Barrett Jackson and all the rest of the sales in Scottsdale going on. Kevin's here, Norma's here, David W. is here. A bunch of our regulars hopping on right out of the gate on YouTube. So, let's see. Looks like we got a few people jumping on Facebook as well. So we'll see if the Facebook feed is going to cooperate and hang in there tonight. Lee from New York made it. Another one of our regulars. Brandon's back. Joe is here on Facebook, so hopefully Facebook's working. We'll see how we go throughout the evening and how it does there. Rusty Nails made it tonight. Scott's here on Facebook, so lots of familiar faces on already. As always, appreciate you guys coming back and making this what it is. Lots of things happening, lots of things to talk about. Obviously, all the stuff going on in Scottsdale. Got some information from my buddy Phil, who was out there this week. Obviously, we got the magazine tonight. We got some cool badges to check out. We've got an auction piece. We're going to give the raffle away this month. Got a surprise coming up for you when we get to the raffle, so stay tuned. Had good participation this month, so I'm going to change the rules a little bit, but it's going to be for the better. So you definitely want to make sure you're around when we get to the raffle, see what's going on there. Let's see. Jason's here. Eloy's here. Alan NC's here. Glenn from Minnesota. Old School made it tonight. Some news, a couple guys jumping on Facebook as well. Chris and Jerry both jumped on with us on there. So hopefully that keeps working. We've got a few people jumping on Facebook. We will see if the system is going to cooperate with us tonight over there. As always, if you're on Facebook and it does create issues for us tonight where the feed isn't working, you can't always jump over to YouTube to the Nobody's Show channel and join us over there. As always, if you are on the Nobody's Show Facebook page, I cannot see those comments. Those do not feed to me. This video is shared from the Nobody Else's Auto page over to the Nobody Show page. So the only comments I can see are on the Nobody Else's Auto page. So if you want to just hang out and watch, you're perfectly fine there. If you want to comment, participate in trivia, anything like that, you'll need to be on the Nobody Else's Auto page on Facebook or the Nobody Show channel on YouTube. See, Big Job made it. Roger from Australia is here. Old School says video's kind of blurry. Actually, I wiped them both off when I set them up tonight, so I hope that's not it. But so it looks pretty clean because I just wiped them down when I sat them up. So, Kevin, is the loader back? No, I don't have the loader back. The engine is back together. It's buttoned up. It's all closed up. They're ready to drop it back in. Got to get some hoses built. I'm going to replace some hydraulic hoses that run under the engine while we've got it apart, and then hopefully they can get the engine sat back in it. So Dan said he got his badge. Great. That made it. Glad that safely made it to you. Let's see. And as always, also check your comments before you hit send. If autocorrect wonky something up and I can't understand it, I will skip over the comment because we got to the point where we were wasting way too much time trying to decipher comments that I couldn't understand. And always, as we usually have a troll or two jump on, and you guys are always great about making sure they know they're not welcome here. So I'm obviously not going to acknowledge them, but you guys do a super job of helping out with that. So if you're hanging out with us, throw a share out there, let your friends know we're on, see if they want to get on with us, and we'll get rolling. Brandon, you ever find two Hudson badges that are the same, like this Hudson badge? You're going to start everybody off early, Brandon. So I don't know. I actually ought to see if I've got two of these. If I had two of them, I could hold two of them up. I'd get a lot of you guys in trouble. So, but I don't know if I've got two of these, but I mean, I'm sure that I probably had duplicates on some of them, but I'll have to go through them and see what all I've got. But anyway, obviously the big news is Barrett Jackson. Norman says, hit the like button. Thanks. Appreciate that. You beat Bill to it tonight. So Joe's here. Now Rusty Nail says it is a little bit blurry on his end, but not bad. Daniel made it tonight. But I didn't watch a ton of Barrett Jackson. I've been staying pretty busy, so I didn't watch much of it. I watched a little bit of it last night, but it was about 9 o'clock before I got into the office and turned it on. So that's right. Big job. Big Job says we love knocking out trolls, and you guys are great at it, and I super appreciate it. So Sebastian's on with us. Glad you're here. Vic's back on Facebook. Kim's on. Glad you're here. But what I did see at Barrett Jackson, what I did look at, just obviously bonkers numbers. Barrett Jackson is always crazy numbers. A lot of the stuff I saw just made no sense. Rick's on with us on Facebook. Glad you're here. $100,000 car after $100,000 car after $100,000 car. And a lot of them didn't look like $100,000 cars. Yes, Sebastian, I did get you, and you are in the raffle. So we'll scroll through all that here after a while. But yep, yeah, I did get it, and you're in. So, but I mean, there was like an 06 Hummer that went through last night that didn't look that exotic. It was a black Hummer that was lifted with some tires and wheels on it. It brought like $625,000, plus 10%, stuff like that. Didn't get it. I mean, really just didn't get a lot of it. Kevin's at a Studebaker sign. That's another Barris sign with a la carte, if that's the one we're talking about. So that's what, if that's the one we're talking about, Kevin, that's a la carte that Barris built. That's the third sign in our series of Barris signs. We've got one more that we'll get you next week. We started off, obviously, with the Hero Hot Merc after that car sold. Last week we did the Batmobile. This week we'll do the a la carte. And we've got one more in the box for the Barris signs. So, Hudson Badge. Kevin's here. Couple Kevins here. So, lots of people jumping on. Things are scrolling pretty quick. I'm trying to keep up with them. But I did get some information from our buddy Phil. Phil was on here with us last week. Great friend of mine. Super good guy. Extremely knowledgeable. Covers a lot of these auctions all across the country. Helps out worldwide quite a bit with a lot of their memorabilia stuff. Extremely knowledgeable about the market and what's going on, as well as the car world in general. Don from Nashville's here. Barrett Jackson's price wants to run his pickup through. You start over with what Barrett Jackson's are paying. Yeah, it was nuts. It was absolutely nuts. But this is what I got from Phil the other day. Friday. Is when I got this info from Phil. Sebastian, Roadster of the year 56, or was it 55 for a la carte? It was 58 and 59, I believe, when it was when it won the Grand National Roadster Show. I think it was 58 and 59 back to back, if I remember correctly, Sebastian. But you're pretty close. But I think that's when it was. But at Barrett, 1,900 plus cars, 100% no reserve. But he did say that if you're serious about something, you got to go there and you got to look at it. And this is how Phil put it. A lot of junk masquerading as a quality restoration. So, it sounds like there were a lot of auction cars there. They were built for the auction, to go through the auction. That's what he said. But there was some interesting things he did mention. R&M, $6.8 million for an alloy body 300 SL dual wing Mercedes. Worldwide sold a Model J Duesenberg engine, transmission, and radiator. Not the car, just the radiator shell, the radiator, the engine, the transmission for $700,000. So thought that was kind of interesting. Daniel, how hard is it to find junkyards with 90s to early 2000 vehicles? A lot of the newer junkyards may still have some of that type of stuff in there. So, around, at least in Kansas, a few of the ones that I know of do still have some of that stuff around. There were several other 7-figure cars there that Phil saw. But like you said, and that's pretty typical of a lot of these auctions, but he seemed to have noticed on a lot this year that there was a lot of stuff there built for the auction. And if you're serious about something, you really need to go look at it in person, touch it, feel it, look underneath it, and really get a good idea of what you're talking about. So old school people have lost their minds. Yeah, there was when I saw that Hummer go through last night for $625,000 it was the full-size Hummer, the H2 or whatever. I don't know much about Hummers. And maybe there was something weird about it, but it was a black Hummer with a grill guard, wheels, and a lift and a slight lift kit for $625,000. So kind of like, wow, that's bananas. Chris just says overpriced. Yep. Sebastian, have I ever found a 300 letter car looking for a 300D? Nothing early at all. Nothing there that I've never come across any early 300s, some 60s 300s, but that was nothing in the late 50s. But and this was on Friday. The last picture I got from Phil was a picture of a hot tub. It said, I need one of these, because he'd been walking around Scottsdale trying to cover like 4 different auctions for the past week. So I'm sure that's that's what he's thinking. The Hummer went through last night. That's when I saw it, because like I said, I didn't watch hardly any of it. I was in the shop until about 9 last night. That's when I came into the office to start building this and doing some paperwork. So it was after 9 o'clock Central Time last night is when it went through. That BW says all he knows is everything went up after that. Yeah, that's for sure. Frank's here with us. Glad you're here. But that's what I got from my buddy Phil. And like I said, Phil covers tons of these auctions, extremely knowledgeable in all kinds of vehicles. He is literally one of the world's leading experts in Edsels. If we've got any Edsel fans on here, Phil is the guy. He knows Edsels frontward and backward, hands down. And he's actually got a 60 Edsel station wagon, one of the rarest cars Ford ever made. They made like 260 Edsel station wagons, and he's got one of those. Chris didn't watch any of it or search for it on TV. And I never found it on TV at all. I just brought it up on the computer while I was in the office. So that's about the extent of what I watched. And I was swamped all day yesterday anyway, so I didn't watch much of it then either. But that's right, Mick. It makes my parts worth more, hopefully. So obviously, the one car I was curious about, we do now know what it's worth. The last Grand National. Sebastian's an Edsel fan, really likes the wagons. Yeah. Phil's got one of the handful of 60 Edsel wagons left in the world. And like I said, if you're on Facebook, look up the Edsel Preservation Group, I think, or something. Phil's involved with that. Phil has documented almost 15,000 Edsels, as far as tracking their VINs, where they were built, where they're at today. Even all the Edsels in my yard, he's tracked, has them in his database. So if you're an Edsel fan, you've got to look that up. That Phil knows that stuff cold. So, Daniel, what we're going to have to do for the next generation of 90s and 2000s vehicles, it's going to be the same thing as everything else, Daniel, with the exception of the electronics. There's going to be a market for people to rebuild some of these electronics from the 90s and 2000s, but we're starting to see it right now as these cars age out and the inventories and salvage yards get crushed out. The 90s and 2000s, we're going to be in 5 or 10 years, we'll be in the same boat we are right now in the 70s and 80s stuff. So that's kind of where I see things going. Rusty Nels has got a couple million in inventory with those prices. Yeah, that's for sure. Old School says 86 Ford RS 200 Evolution, 24 of those made. I'm not sure what that is, but I did see some weird Ford pop up on the internet today I haven't looked at. Big Job, isn't he on Facebook with his Edsels? He's on the Edsel Preservation and Restoration Group or something like that. He's heavily involved with that group. Is where Phil is at a lot on Facebook, as well as writing for Old Cars Weekly and some other publications. So Jason needs an L for his Edsel grill wall hanger. Depends on which one it is. Daniel, did Chevy sell in the 60s a Chevy Savannah with hideaway headlights? I'm not sure about a Savannah, but I know you get hideaway headlights on a 69 full-size car with a 427. I've got a bucket for my loader. I've got a bucket for my loader, Rusty Nails. So yeah, I do actually have a bucket that will go on my loader. I've had it on. Only thing I've had it on there like twice since I bought the machine, because I just pretty much need it, moving cars. So, but yes, I do have a bucket for it. Loch Ness Fox is here. My week's been bonkers. So James is back with us. So, but the last Grand National, we now know what it's worth. 34 years later, we know what the car's worth. It's worth $500,000. Brandon says Hudson Packers and Kaisers are his favorite. Somebody said Hudson. But like I said, I've followed that car ever since I got my hands on this. Now, none of you probably have any idea what this is. This was the spring of 1988 copy of Inside Buick. Core of Communications. These were sent to dealers. I assume, let's see, spring, so I'm going to assume quarterly is when they sent these. This was sent to Dub Buick, Olds Cadillac, here in Great Bend, where my dad was the service manager at that point. He brought this home for me, and I've had it ever since, literally. So I've been dragging this thing around with me for 34 years. And I've read this article 100 times. And this was the story about when the car was built. Anybody that watched any of the footage saw those signs as the car sold yesterday. They were still with the car. So that is why obviously I love Grand Nationals anyway. It's one of the things I definitely want to add to the collection one of these days, but obviously prices on them are skyrocketing, and it's one of those deals that hopefully at some point I'll get something done on one, but lots of other things going on right now and just not a top priority. But there's the article. This is why I was so fascinated with that car. Always have been, ever since I read this magazine article in the spring of 1988 when I would have been 13 years old. The Buick dealership where my dad worked, they did get a Grand National in 86 and 87. I remember the car sitting on the showroom floor very vividly. But I still don't have one. I want to get a good Grand National. It just hasn't happened yet. So, but that's why we talked about it a little bit last week. That's why I was so intrigued about what that car was going to bring. The question about what a car like that is really worth, there's no way to answer until you see it go across the auction block. There's only one. There's only one that's this well documented. There's only one that has this story, that has this article, that has this documentation, that was the last one of a breed. And now we know what it's worth. But that's why it intrigued me so much. So Rusty Nell said he's seen a picture of an Edsel with a bucket on the front. Kevin's got a 51 Hudson. Sebastian is looking for a Hudson Hornet straight six racing engine. Daniel, eventually some people, the base model Cavaliers, I don't think I honestly think some of those Cavaliers, especially the Z30, the Z20, the Z24s and things like that, the Z34s, I think some of those are going to be worth having. Gail from Des Moines on with us. Glad you made it tonight. Hudson badge. But there it is. That's why I was so intrigued by that car. That's why when it came up last week, that's why I was interested in it. And I also got more stuff too, GNX stuff that, I got from back then. I got a stack of this stuff because I've always been a fan of those cars. And hopefully one of these days I'll get a good one to add to my collection. But what it all boils down to is everything I saw was just bonkers this week. And, we know we're on a bubble. How long is the bubble going to last? We don't know. Some people are saying it will roll through at least the rest of this year. But, stock market is slipping. That's going to affect it. Talk of interest rates going up. That's going to affect it. So things like that are possibly in the works that could definitely affect that. Chris, looking for a driver's side fender for a 67 Cutlass. I don't have any 67 Cutlasses in stock at all right now, Chris. So can't do it. Nothing there. I can't help you with that on anything on that. See, Brandon, nothing like a car that was chopped from the factory. I don't know if we're talking about Grand Nationals or what on that. What's my opinion of the North Stars? The North Stars underrated. I like the later North Stars. The North Star was a big deal when it came out, but then the head gasket issues, really kind of screwed things up. The later North Stars, I think, are pretty neat engines, and I think they were pretty cool. Old school, why are people overpaying? Not really sure. Like I said, there's a lot of money out there floating around, and people want to spend it. Chris says DeLorean dealer sign brought 20 grand. I didn't see that. There was a Ford dealer sign, a 53 Golden Jubilee sign, 400 grand. I mean, just crazy numbers on a lot of the signs and stuff too. Nate says he came across a Hudson Hornet this weekend in a guy's collection he's selling off. So, Chad, big job. As your loader is older, you need a quick attach on your bucket, forks, and even snowplow blades. Yeah, but like I said, I've used it like twice in like 6 years, so it's not that critical. So Hudson. But anyway, Ben, my 37 Street Rod's here, so he likes the a la carte sign. And also says, remember, hit the like button and subscribe. Thanks for that. But I guess we'll see what happens from here. What else is coming up? This was kind of the big stuff. Kissimmee and Scottsdale take up most of the month of January, and things get pretty bonkers this month. Glendale's coming up. Meekum will follow up Scottsdale with the Glendale sale in March. I don't really think there's much going on other than the Meekum motorcycle auction coming up in February in Vegas, which I've never been to. I've got some buddies that go to that are big motorcycle nuts, but I've never been to that one. So I think, everything's going to kind of calm down for the month of February with the exception of the motorcycle auction. Then we'll see what happens in Glendale in March with Meekum and see if things continue to trend this way. So so we're going to kind of be in a holding pattern a little bit. This will all kind of calm down, and we'll see what happens at Glendale and see if this bubble continues and see where it goes from there. But anyway, what else is happening? Sick Week starts next week. Obviously, a lot of you guys know I love drag and drive events. Sick Week starts in Florida next week. I'm not going. I got a lot of friends that are going. Another drag and drive event, just like, very similar to Rocky Mountain Race Week that Tom Bailey puts on. And I think it's going to be a pretty amazing deal. It's the first time they've done it. Obviously we've got Rocky Mountain Race Week, we've got Race Week, we've got Drag Week, and Sick Week is a new one to that. And they've also got a magazine. Actually, it's more like a book that they've been putting out that I get, I think every quarter, and it's been pretty amazing as well. And so looking forward to the coverage from that. That starts next Sunday. Be sure to check that out. Look them up, Sick Week, Facebook, get on their website. Keep tabs with that. Like I said, I know a lot of people that are going. It's going to be a pretty awesome event. Chris says the motorcycle auction that they do has been crazy. Like I said, I've never been to it, and I don't know a lot about motorcycle values. So like I said, I got a lot of friends that have, the few instances I've came across something, they've, I just check with them. But it'll be interesting, and it will be another good indicator, though. That's another good idea, another good point, Chris. It'll be an indicator as to if things are still riding high on this bubble, if they're going to start slipping. So, Roger watched Australia Lloyd's auctions on Saturday. They sold the 49 Merc for just over 30 grand, which seems reasonable. So Big Job says, yep, they spent all their money at Barrett. Chad's on with us. So it's going to be interesting, but Sick Week's going to be exciting. I can't wait to keep up with the coverage and see how that goes. And then after Sick Week, we'll have some more announcements about Rocky Mountain Race Week that I've been working on Matt with. Matt's trying to get the Hulk together to run Sick Week. So he's heading down there and to run that event, actually, so we can get to go race instead of have to run the event. So Jason got a Chevy tailgate wall hanger. The tailgate's a super cool wall hanger. It's getting crazy popular for decorator pieces, basically anywhere. Houses, bars, man caves. Tailgates are super popular everywhere. So, anyway, a few other notes that I want to bring up before we get into badges and magazines. Daniel, does anybody know what early 2000s dealership looks like from GM? Just have to look up pictures. You can Google that stuff or find these old magazines like this. See if you can find some of these from the early 2000s if they still had them. That would give you a good idea of what dealerships look like through the era. And even other publications will have pictures of some of them. There's some of the displays that they had at the auto show that year. So look that type of stuff up. Look for these old publications that the manufacturers put out to study some of that type of stuff. Something else kind of interesting I did yesterday, but and kind of a new thing. This one was inside Buick, Daniel, but all of them, every manufacturer would have had a different one. So this one was inside Buick. Oh, Dad said Dad's on. He said Meekum was this. The motorcycle auction was this weekend. I thought it was coming up in a couple weeks. I didn't realize that it was this weekend. Okay, so that's what Chris was saying, that it was going on this weekend, and it was bonkers. Okay, I didn't even catch any of that. Jay Frankie, do I have any motorcycles? No, not really. I've got a few bits and pieces I found over the years, but very, very little. So, like I said, I've got a lot of buddies into that type of stuff, but I don't know much about it. But there's a few bits and pieces laying around, but that's about it. But something I did yesterday was kind of interesting, and I did about 5 videos on this stuff. And Terry's on with us. Glad you're here. It's a little different. It is cars, but there isn't much left of them. But they tell an interesting story. This was the first batch. I know where there's more of these at, and I'm going to try to get some more video on them. And I know where there's some stuff out that's a little better shape than what we did yesterday. But, and I'm sure some of you are familiar with it, but back in the day, back in the 60s and 70s, for erosion control, they would use car bodies, shove them over the edges of riverbanks, over creek banks, over, edges, going around the edges of a lake, whatever they had to do to get it, stop the sides from washing out. And so that's what I did. I went down and I got a buddy that could get me down through a local river into a couple of these areas that, aren't really accessible from anywhere, unless the guy that owns the quarter of ground is going to let you drive through his whole field to get up there. So he got us down there, and we did some videos on some of these river cars. The stuff we found yesterday, very little left of it. We were able to identify most of it, but it's pretty interesting to see what time and nature and water has done to a lot of these cars. Even found some pretty cool stuff where the car frame, body, chassis pieces have become part of nature as things grew up and around them and things like that. So something kind of different. Just got a note from Phil on some more updates. Quick numbers from Arizona as of Saturday night. 258 million in sales. And there were 7 auction companies having sales there this weekend. Barrett Jackson sold the first 2023 Corvette Z06 for 3.6 million. There's Gray Kitty. Come here, dummy. Say hi. There's Gray Kitty. Yeah, say hi. Just don't go step on the computer. You about stepped on the keyboard and shut everybody off. Yeah, you about stepped on the keyboard and shut everybody off. Yeah, so don't do that. Yes, you go jump down here. The 2023 Corvette Z06 was a charity car at 3.6 million. 700,000 for the first 2022 Shelby GT 500 KR, also a charity car. The Duesenberg engine and transmission we had talked about earlier. RM Sotheby's hit 43 million in their one-day sale. And the top sale was the 300 SL Mercedes Gullwing Coupe, the alloy body at 6.825 million. So those are some numbers direct from Scottsdale from our good buddy Phil, who is keeping me in the loop as to what's going on since he's there with boots on the ground right now. So that's some very interesting numbers to kind of wrap your brain around and kind of think about. Let's see some comments popping up here. Sebastian, did I see the new episode of My Classic Cars with Barris Roadsters? No, I did not see that. So, Brandon, wildest thing I ever saw at a junkyard was a Ford tree. Well, we kind of found some stuff kind of like that. So, big job, kind of like leaving an SOS pad in a bucket of water too long. That's pretty much what we saw some of yesterday. Sebastian says, what part of the Ford was in the tree? So, let's see. Chris says, yeah, they've got a lot of that around where he lives as well. So I've got some video shot on some stuff we looked at yesterday. And like I said, I know where there's some more of this stuff at and would like to get some more of it. It's pretty cool to see this stuff. The stuff we saw yesterday, not really anything usable left on any of it, but we were able to identify some of it. Some of the stuff was pretty tricky to get to. We'll even show you what got us in there. So, because like I said, where we went, you would have had to have walked for miles to get to it if you didn't have something that could get you down through the river, through the water, through the sand, through the trees, and everything else to get get things going. So I've got those videos coming up. Stay tuned, and hopefully we'll get. My buddy said he'll take us down there some more. We'll go to a couple other spots where he knows there's some more cars at and do some more videos. So there again, it's kind of a sad end to a lot of these vehicles, but it is part of the history of collector cars. It is one of the situations of what happened to a lot of these things, and that did happen. There is literally one of the Cord 810 prototypes ended up in a dike or flood control dike in Indiana, and they excavated it 50 or 60 years ago, but not hardly anything left of it. But the remains of the shell do still exist. But that's what happened to it because it was a salvage car. It was junk. Nobody wanted it. Nobody had any use for it. Chad hopes to swing by in a few weeks. Yeah, just give me a shout on that. Jason, whatever happened to Jason used to give us his sightings. I don't know. I haven't thought about him in a while. Yeah. Our OTR buddy who was out on the road, he'd always throw some stuff up that he's seen sitting along the highway. Dan, kind of like the way the Titanic is dissolving back into nature. Yep, that's exactly right. James, that Z06 was cool, but not 3 million cool. That's for sure. BW's Garage says we can drink to a Barris sign too. So Mick says the price is that high. You need to put locks on your garage. That's for sure. All my buildings are locked and alarmed. So big job. Was it even worth taking to the recycle yard? Most of the stuff you couldn't get it out of there. I mean, like I said, it's not even accessible. You'd had to. There again, there's not a lot left of any of it, and you would have had to drag it for miles to try to get it out of there. So not really worth, not even really worth that. So, but I hope you guys dig it. It's something kind of different, and it is part of the history of collector cars about what happened to a lot of this stuff. So Nate said there used to be a spot in the river. There was about 30 cars there, but the EPA had them removed about 5 or 6 years ago, and that I could see that happening too. Alan NC says that's going to be a cool series of river cars. That's what I'm hoping for. I hope you guys like them. So William's back, a little late, but finally back. Glad you made it. So we'll keep working on some of that. We'll get one of those videos up this week. My buddy Grant's on with us, Straight Six fan, says he's looking forward to that upload. I did like 4 videos, I think, 4 or 5 videos on some of the cars. Like I said, not a lot left of the cars, not extremely exciting, but what was cool about it was doing the detective work, trying to determine what some of them were. Looking at them, looking for bits and pieces of trim or body line, things like that. And that's kind of what I pointed out as we were down there doing these videos as to what tipped me off as to what these cars were. So, and I think I found one trim tag. There were, I don't know how many cars, 8, 10, 12, 15 cars we looked at between all the videos, I don't know. But only one trim tag. So all the rest of it was just detective work of me trying to decipher what it may or may not have been based on what, I've learned over the years. So Rusty Nail says the emblems are good on Creek cars. And sometimes stainless usually is fine. Pot metal usually erodes away with the water. Over the years, Dad and I stripped a bunch of cars out probably 30 years ago on a river where we could, got permission of a landowner to get down through the field, and they were right on the edge where you could get to them. This stuff we looked at yesterday, there isn't even a good way to get there other than down right through the water and get up to them. They were on the bank so we could do the video on them. But there were a couple times I had to be pretty careful because if I'd have slipped or stepped wrong, I was going straight into the drink. So, and there was still some snow down there yesterday, so I really didn't want to be sloshing around in any water yesterday. So, BW says there was a bar back home where he's from, and somebody named bar the Rusty Nail. So in honor, that's why we got Rusty Nails on here. So, but I hope you guys like it. It's something different. So we'll pop one of those up this week and start working some of those into the mix as well. Hudson Badge. Have I heard of the Rambler Rogue? I don't think so. That's not ringing a bell with me, Kevin. One other thing I want to mention real quick, and I'll bring it up a little bit later in the chat when we talk about next week's videos. Tuesday night, Toy Tuesday, I will try to go ahead and shoot something, but I will probably not be live Tuesday night. I'm going to plan on not being live. If something changes, I might be, but more than likely, Toy Tuesday will be pre-recorded. I have to go to Topeka to the state capitol on Wednesday to testify at a House committee hearing. until I get on the phone tomorrow. I just found this out at 4:30 on Friday that this bill was going to go to a hearing and that I needed to be there for it. So I will need to get on the phone tomorrow, find out when I've got to be in Topeka, who I need to meet with, things like that at the state capitol before this hearing, or if I've just got to be there right at the hearing. I won't know any of that until tomorrow. So not knowing for sure when I've got to be in Topeka Wednesday, I'm going to tell you right now that Toy Tuesday will probably be pre-recorded. If I'm around and I've got time, I may go ahead and throw it up there live, but we're going to plan on pre-recording it. Sebastian, what's the bill about? It has to do with antique vehicle titles in the state of Kansas. So I've been asked to come up and testify about it. So they said I could do it, remotely, but I would rather be there in person, so I can actually field questions if from any of the representatives or anything like that, and in person and be right there face to face. I feel that if it's something that's worth talking about, it should be something that I need to show up for and actually be there in person. So at this point, that's kind of the plan for Tuesday night, that it will probably be pre-recorded is what I'm going to tell you on that. So something changes, I'll be on, but plan for that to be pre-recorded and don't have to worry about being on to chat on Tuesday night. So anyway, civic duty. Well, it is kind of civic duty, but this is an issue that I've been facing for years with illegal dealers in the state of Kansas. I've been involved in writing the bill. Actually, the bill was written off of my notes, basically. So they want me there to get, a first person opinion and things like that. So I've been working with my state representative on this for several months. And I feel that it's pretty important to be going. Phil's texting me back and forth, so keeping him up to date. Maybe he's got some more info for us. And since we just got that update from him, we'll keep him in the loop with us. So let him know that we are rolling. So number one made it tonight. Glad you're here. Let's see. Jason said he's got a lot of locations. Yeah, I don't remember where you're at. Oh, you're in Missouri, I think. You're a little bit ways away from me. So I would love to do more river cards. If anybody knows anything around close to me where we can get to, I would sure love to do it. So let's see. Dan, when you become governor, remember us. I don't think I want to become governor. That does not seem too intriguing to me, Dan. Let's see. Sebastian, very cool to have the involvement of classic car guys on bills. Yeah, I'm excited. We've got a hearing on it. Who knows if we're going to get it pushed through? But but like I was talking to my dealer rep, who I deal with through the state of Kansas when I've got questions about my dealer license or paperwork or things like that. I call her, and I have talked about it, and dealer licensing is in support of it as well. And like her and I talked about, I said, who knows if we're going to get it through the House and then through the Senate on top of that, and then to get a governor's signature on it. We still got a long ways to go, but I know exactly what the result is if we don't try. So that's what we're doing. That's what we're going to see what we can make happen. So let's see. BW's garage, the whole room subs norm for number one when number one jumps on. Yeah, that's about right. So we're glad you made it tonight. Number one, there's your Hudson badge. We can keep rolling on that. But anyway, let's check out a couple of other badges. Let's check out a magazine. Let's give all this stuff away on the raffle. Let's talk about a new raffle. Let's play some trivia. We got all kinds of stuff to do tonight, so let's keep going. Sebastian, first lot of passes, no classic can be crushed or parted out or wall hangers. Yeah. What we're working on now is paperwork stuff. So we'll see. Like I said, who knows if what's going to happen or if we get it through, but I know what happens if you don't try. Absolutely nothing. So that's what we're working on. Tonight's first badge is another earlier one, enamel one for DeSoto. This is a little bit smaller. I'll hold it up here. Hopefully you guys can see it with the crest on it. Obviously with a black background, the gold and blue. Jason said just go ahead and send it to me. Yeah. This is kind of a smaller badge. This is 2 inches tall and 1 1/8 wide. So this thing is only 2 inches. That's it. So it's a smaller badge. It is in pretty decent shape. It does have a few small chips and things like that. And I hope you guys can see it clearly. Hope our camera is a little more clear now. Maybe the feed is getting a little better. What Chatsy likes the arrowhead shape. BW says looks like a private school pin. Sebastian says that's only the second one of these he's ever seen. So this one I think was like a radiator grill shell badge number 1. Yeah, that's what I think this one was. This had a screw mount on the back with a small bracket. I did do a little bit of research, but I couldn't find much out. I was curious about this crest with the bird and the little star-shaped things. So I did a little bit of Googling for DeSoto crest, DeSoto family crest, DeSoto shield, things like that. I couldn't come up with any definitive answer for these or for this crest in my research. Like I said, I didn't spend a ton of time on it. I didn't have a ton of time. I was trying to get the whole chat built. But couldn't come up with a good definitive answer. DeSoto actually started in 1928 as a 1929 model in the mid-price market for the Chrysler Corporation. This particular badge here, according to my new favorite website of automotive badges that we've talked about on here for the last month, this would be a 32-33 era badge. So, 3-4 years into production of the DeSoto is when this badge would have been used. That's right, Alan NC. Looks like a medieval knight shield. And that's what intrigued me to try to see if I could find the meaning of this shield, but I couldn't find it. Obviously, DeSoto Chrysler Motors product, marketed in their mid-price range target area. So, but a cool badge with great colors, and that's what we do. That's why we check them out. That's why we look at them. That's why we analyze them. Is just we're holding a piece of history in my hand that's 90 years old. We're talking about it. We're studying the artistic side of it. We had a comment a little bit ago. Looks like an arrowhead. Great colors with the enameling. Cool crest. That's why we're here. What's in the shield? Birds. I think they're supposed to be a bird. I know I get too close and these things get kind of blurry, but it looks like some sort of a bird. And there's 3 little symbols under it, and then 3 little star symbols on it as well. Chad says luggage rack badge. It could have been on the back of the car. Could have been on a spare tire cover. But I'm thinking this was a grill show. But this could have been like on a spare tire cover or something like that as well, especially being a little bit smaller one. So Big Chop says we need a nobody phone book put together for the game. But there again, it's still a cool piece of history. We can sit here, we can study it, we can talk about it, we can look at all the cool pieces of it, the shape, the design, the symbols in them. That's why we do it. That's what's fun. So hope you guys like that one. I thought it was pretty cool and definitely worth spending a minute on and checking out. Is it American Eagle with arrows or lightning? It kind of looks like an American Eagle, but not extreme. Like I said, I don't know how clear you guys can see it on the screen, but it does kind of look like an American Eagle. But there again, not really for sure where they were going with it, and couldn't find a definitive answer to that where I could share it and positively tell you exactly what's going on with that badge. The next badge we're going to check out, just like we usually do, we're going to jump up a few decades to check this one out. This is an uber rare badge. From the late 50s. It is broken, but I do have both pieces. I knew exactly what this was when I did find it. I was pretty excited when I found it, actually. But we'll go ahead and check it out. This is a level air badge. The tip is broken off right over here, but I do have the piece. It does have a stud on it. This is level air. I hope you guys can all see that clearly. This badge is 9 inches long. So there's a little bit to it. This was 58, 59 Chevrolet with air ride suspension. Extremely rare. I think Obviously GM had air ride back in that window. However, predominantly Cadillac and Buick. It was available across the board. It was an expensive option. It was a newfangled fancy option, that you would see on a Cadillac or a Buick. Very, very, very seldom offered on a Chevrolet. So number one says level air. They also had a camper called a level air. So this would have been for the air ride suspension, and like I said, very seldom seen on a Chevrolet. So I was really excited when I found this. I probably would sell this badge, but they're super rare. I looked them up. I only found one that had changed hands that I could find. How many were built with that option? I'm not sure. Cadillac and Buick, it was more common, not extremely common. But even at that, many of them were changed back out to springs because they literally had airbags. They had an air compressor. It literally was an air ride system. They did not work. They did not have the technology, to maintain them, to guarantee equal ride height, comfortable ride, things like that. And a lot of the cars that came with it, would, they changed them back out to springs because they just had so many issues with it. Number one, that's got to be a lowrider's holy grail. That's exactly what it is. I mean, because obviously that era of Chevy is super popular in that culture. So yeah, it is a lowrider holy grail. Phil's on with us now. My good buddy Phil is on. He said if that level air script, it would be, if it was a steak, it would be blood red. That's right, Phil. That's a good way to put it. So this is so rare that if it was a steak, it would be blood red. It wouldn't be cooked at all. That's how rare it is. So yeah, it is a pretty cool piece. I just haven't done anything with it, but I thought obviously it was well worth sharing because it is a neat piece, something very, very seldom seen. To see this in the Chevrolet script from that era. Like I said, I got this little piece that's broke off, but fortunately the piece is there. The broken piece has its own stud. So theoretically, this thing could be put back on a car in its correct position, and nobody would really know the difference. So, but Phil, I think Phil hit the nail on the head. It's so rare it'd be blood red if it was a steak. So, Buchanan said auto sales needs to be repopped. That's cool. I actually have thought about that. That's part of the reason I haven't sold it, because since I do have one that is clean, you can see the chrome on it and the stuff is pretty nice. It would be a good pattern to repop them. So that's actually one thing I had thought of. So, but there again, it is it's an uber rare piece. I thought it was super cool. I thought it was definitely worth checking out. So thought we would add that to the badge collection for tonight because it is neat. And obviously a lot of people weren't even aware that GM offered air ride in that time frame, but they did. Way to go, Phil. You got Jason wound up now. He said steak. I think you made Jason hungry. So, well, maybe you can take another drink from the Hudson badge and that'll tide him over. So, but, and not only do a lot of people weren't not aware of it, most of it isn't around anymore because the systems didn't work that well. So they got switched out, for springs, conventional suspension systems. So a lot of the cars that even did have it didn't survive with it. They didn't make it this long with them. There are a few cars out there that have been restored correctly with them, but very, very few. So Buchanan Auto Sales says he's ready. If we want to repop him, he's in. He needs some. So, but anyway, that catches us for a couple of badges tonight. So how about a magazine? Tonight, we're going to get into the magazine. We're going to do some trivia. We're going to give away some stuff on a raffle. We're going to have an auction, and we're going to talk about some new inventory yet. So let's we'll keep rolling here. Some more info from Phil. In Arizona, MAG had an auction at the Wecopot Casino. Average price of cars was in the $12,000 to $15,000 range. So MAG auctions, who have been having some successful sales, had a more average guy type sale this weekend as well. So there is an auction out there where a lot of guys can get in there and hang out and probably pick up some cool stuff as well. So, but tonight we're going to check out an issue of Road and Track from May of 1979 with the world famous super popular, extremely well-known Chevrolet Citation X11 on the cover. Yep, had you kind of excited there for a minute. The Chevrolet Citation X11, the cover car of the May 1979 issue of Road and Track. And they hit the Citation heavy in this issue. We'll check out some of that as well. You don't see a lot of those cars around anymore. A lot of them didn't survive. They were scoffed at. Something else that is going to be a little bit different when they do pop up, just like the Pinto wagon that Phil sent me pictures of that hammered for $25,000 this weekend. In this issue of Road and Track, kind of like the issue of Car and Driver we looked at last week, there were a lot of ads. There were a lot of ads. There's a lot of ads in this magazine as well. Not a ton of articles, but a lot of ads. So we're going to go ahead and catch some articles, but there's also going to be a lot of super cool ads as far as what we see in this issue of Road and Track. So let's get rolling. And of course, the first big article in this issue is on the Chevrolet Citation X11. Now, what's interesting is how they branded it. Now, you got to remember, this is May of 1979. This is still the days of V8 rear-wheel drive, things like that. This was, economy car, front-wheel drive. And this Road and Track road test literally states Chevrolet Citation X11. And I'm going to show you this so you don't think I'm lying to you. This may be the best car ever to come from Detroit. And that is exactly what they said about the Chevrolet Citation X11 in 1979. And you think about it, number one, Chevy always made the best looking, worst built, worst driving economy cars. And realistically, for the time, these cars were, an answer that there was an answer that had to come out. There had to be something done to compete with the foreign cars. There had to be something done to compete for fuel economy. This stuff had to come out. Were they the best? Probably not. But, it happens. That's what they had to work with. At the time, they were a pretty big deal. At a glance, list price of the Chevrolet Citation X11 was estimated to be $4,300. By comparison, a Plymouth Horizon, Big Job says, yeah, you got a citation for driving it. The Plymouth Horizon, another economy car from that era, was $4,122. So priced right in the window of that Horizon. That's right, Sebastian. There was a Levi AMC Gremlin. AMC did a lot of Levi package. You get a Levi package Jeep. They did a lot of stuff with Levi's. So it was pretty cool to see this stuff because once again, that's what's great about this. We're going back with 2020 hindsight. The Chevrolet Citation was laughed at. It was scoffed at. They didn't hold up as well as they wanted. But in 1979, it was the car of the future, essentially. Scott said on Facebook, funniest car I've ever seen was a Citation jacked up with 50s on the back. So, Brandon says doors were falling off brand new cars at the dealership. So Jim said he bought one about 20 years ago, traded it in 2007. Number one, my uncle had an engine rebuilding company that rebuilt Citation X-body front ends for a recall. But really, you look at this, and they've got color pictures in here. The interior shots, there again, this is 1979. That was current, up to date. So nothing wrong with that, really, when you're comparing it to the other vehicles that were out there on the market. Got into a fairly in-depth road test on these things, really broke them down. So the next article that we're going to get into follows right up with the Citation and somewhat expands on it. Buchanan Auto Sales, wobble Chevy regulator, four-door loaner in white. She's tough. Number one, there's a Pontiac Phoenix for $6,900 Canadian up there that looks almost mint. And that's actually kind of where we're going with this deal. The next article, technical analysis and driving impressions for General Motors' new compact, which is right where that Phoenix would fall in with the Citation. The dawning of a new era for GM. So this was, there again, we're talking May of 79. These were brand new cars. This was brand new technology. So very interesting to go back and look at how they were envisioning it, what their opinions of it were when these first came out. My dad's on. He says he went to NADA in Vegas in '79, and they had a ride and drive for the X cars. He said they got to go out and run them pretty hard. They were more fluff than buff, so they had them hyped up pretty. So if that's the case, that goes exactly right in line with what we're talking about in this magazine. When we get through the rest of this magazine, that comment will make a lot more sense, that they were more fluff than buff, because Dad said they got to do the ride and drive on them in '79. So keep that in mind as we work through this magazine. That's going to come right into play as we go through this issue of Road and Track. But the GM small cars that we're talking about here, has pictures obviously of the Citation, the Oldsmobile Omega, the Buick Skylark, the Pontiac Phoenix. This was talking about all of this stuff. And that's kind of what a good chunk of this magazine actually is, other than the ads. This is kind of the small GM front wheel drive / ads issue. Jason says the grills were a lot like a Malibu. Yeah, they were to a certain extent in that era. But this breaks it down. It talks about the suspension systems, the engines that they used in these cars, interiors. So pretty interesting. We'll flip forward a few more pages. Like I said, there's tons and tons of ads in here. Sebastian, should I buy the last of 2 Buick LeSabre hearses? It is pretty much a basket case, but it's good bones and all the glass and most of the exterior trim is there. It depends on what year it is and where you want to go with it, Sebastian. Number one, if you find any X-body coupes or 3-door hatches, he's your Huckleberry. I think they're kind of neat little cars. I think there's going to be some people that are going to dig them. We're starting to see this stuff happening already with the 70s cars, the cars people remember from their youth. And I think we're going to see it with the X cars as they become all, since they already don't exist. Good ones are going to be kind of cool. It's also going to shift into the Cavaliers, things like that. So it's a 1960 LeSabre hearse. That would be kind of cool, Sebastian. I'm sure there's some pretty hard to find pieces left on that one. The next article we're going to check out, we've talked about this car in another article several months ago. It came up in another issue. The Pontiac Trans Am Type K Sport Wagon. They made 2 of these as a design study back in the day. We checked out an article on one where somebody drove one across country for a magazine shoot and checked them out and talked about the impressions they got from people. So they had another one on here. Brandon, Peabody cars were hard to sell. I don't even remember what the Peabody was. But this one had a really great shot of this car with the hatch closed going down the road. Obviously, you look up here and you say, well, that's definitely Trans Am. You look back here and that's like Spaceship. But I thought that shot was pretty cool and definitely worth bringing up as well on that too. Okay, Peabodys were Fieros. Okay. Number one says, if any of them survive, they've been parked in Granny's garage. That's some truth to that too. Fieros are already starting to, gain some popularity as well, especially the later ones. What's K stand for? Camback? That would make sense, but I'm not sure if it even said. I don't remember seeing it in the article. Everything just says Type K. The main design feature of the Type K are the wild gull wing windows. Yes, there it is. Well, to a certain extent. The other main design element is the truncated camback, hence Type K treatment. So, yeah, you're right with that. Number one, it was referring to the camback styling was the K. Was that GM or aftermarket, David W? These were design studies that GM did do. I think it said they made 2 of them. Yes, they were hand-built for design studies and doing their duty as show cars. So that's kind of what about all they boiled down to. Robert Zahn says, wagon rule. That's exactly right. Phil says, every time I say Citation, he's thinking Edsel, which doesn't surprise me. Edsels are, the Edsel Citation, Phil being, the expert that he is on Edsels. I hadn't even thought about that when we got rolling into the Citation article. I got Phil messed up talking about Citation so much. So, Rusty Nell says Fiero was a hot car, literally. And Robert says when he types Pacer on eBay, it brings up Edsels as well. Yep, because they made an Edsel Pacer as well. That's one thing about it. If anybody's got Edsel questions, well, we've got Phil on. He is definitely the guy. There's no doubt about that. Jason, wasn't there an aftermarket kit like that for the Corvette? Yes, I believe there was. There was an aftermarket kit where you could basically do something similar to that. I don't know if it had gold wing windows or anything like that for a Corvette, but I think you're right with that comment, Jason. Chad, college girlfriend had an 80s Citation 4-door Iron Duke and automatic. Spent more time fixing electrical issues on it than anything. So, number one says, Phil, got any teletouch steering wheel transmissions? Yeah, I don't know a lot about that system, but I'm sure Phil does, because like I said, that's definitely his window. One more article we're going to catch, which is kind of crazy that there's only one more article we're going to catch for as big as this magazine is. But when we get into the ads, you'll understand why we're going to spend so much, why we're not spending a ton of time on articles. Sebastian, any Buick Skyhawks? I don't have any Skyhawks or Monzas or any of those Sunbirds. Or was the Omega the Oldsmobile? I don't have any of those. Or I can't remember what the Oldsmobiles but I don't have any of those cars at all. But the next article I thought was very, very interesting, because you got to remember, we're in May of 1979. David W. Back then, there were a lot more buyers that could remember those recycled names. And that's another good point too. They were recycled names because people remember. Starfire, thank you, number one, the Oldsmobile Starfire. You got to remember, we've got ourselves in the window of time of this magazine. Jason, my stepdad built a vetted kit with the kit back in the day. Okay. We've got to remember, we're in May of 1979 right now. Where we're at right now is we're sitting here on the chat. We're in May of 1979. So that's one thing we need to keep in mind as we get into this next article. A Road and Track report. The $1 billion trial balloon. The facts behind the airbag mandate. Now, here in 2022, airbags are, everything's got them, period. Front, side, they're all over. Roof, airbags everywhere. The $1 billion trial balloon, the facts behind the airbag mandate. There's a couple things that stood out here where obviously we're not going to read the whole article. It goes on for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 pages. So obviously definitely not going to get to all of it. But there were a few things that stood out to me as I was looking at this last night. And the article starts out with, on September 1, 1981, Jason's thirsty. The first phase of the government's automatic crash restraint regulation goes into effect. In the 2 years following, it will become mandatory that every automobile sold in the United States be equipped with so-called passive crash restraints, protectors designed to function without any effort by vehicle occupants. In theory, passive protectors could be either automatic safety belts, such as are now used in some models, such as the Volkswagen Rabbit, or inflatable air cushions, commonly known as airbags. But in practice, there is no way to equip 3 across front bench seats with passive belts, since the majority of the cars built and sold in this country have bench seats. Federal Motor Vehicle Safety Standards, number 208, as amended, is in effect an airbag standard. So you could use the seat belts, the automatic locking safety belts would qualify, but the way it was worded, it basically turned it into an airbag mandate. So Sebastian just picked up a complete 22 Rio touring project. That'd be a pretty cool car. Jason said he's sitting there eating chips. He needed to wash them down. So basically what they were saying is they were forcing into airbags. A new multi-billion-dollar industry capable of supplying upward of 10 million airbag systems per year, plus replacement parts, must be designed, capitalized, and constructed. Now, remember, we're 2 years out from this mandate in May of 1979. So building infrastructure to produce 10 million airbags a year, design, produce, and supply replacement parts was a pretty big undertaking. Now, understandably, many American motorists designed to bear the costs for all of this have raised questions about the effectiveness, reliability, and financial impact of airbags. Now, a lot of you, and I assume a lot of you know, some of you may not, GM actually had airbags in the mid-70s. They were available as an option. They did not take off. Nobody was interested in them. Very, very few cars equipped with them. I have seen a car occasionally here or there advertised with airbags, but very few of the mid-70s GM full-size cars. Jose from Miami's on with us. Glad you made it tonight, Jose. But the kind of the interesting thing about it is basically the beginnings of where we are today. Now, you got to remember, we just talked about the citation. The brand new citation was $4,300 out the door. $4,300. Now, $4,300 in 1979 was a lot more money than it is today. I understand that. But this article just specifically talks about what has happened to the car world. The United States Department of Transportation, in its haste to impose some form of automatic crash protection on the nation's motorists, has mandated a device that is inadequate in every primary respect. Airbag crash protectors are too complex, too expensive, and at their present stage of development, provide far too little protection to passengers in accidents. Not only have airbags proved to be ineffective in most kinds of crashes, both in controlled tests and on the highway, in almost half of all injury-producing collisions, they aren't even designed to function. Despite their limited benefits, airbags will cost the American public billions of dollars each year, increase fuel consumption, raise insurance rates, and force most cars sold in this country to carry around canisters of highly toxic, potentially explosive, probably carcinogenic chemicals. Incredibly, the government has no program to prevent such chemicals from being abused, not even a plan to recover or dispose of them when cars are junked or scrapped. So, wow, talk about looking into the future with what we're dealing with today, with what all these government mandates have done in the price of new vehicles, with a lot of things. And not only that, but it's almost like they had a crystal ball to where we're at today. They're mandating all these electric vehicles with no plans for battery disposal. They're mandating all this stuff go to electric, but they're still scrambling to try to figure out what to do with the batteries, how to recycle them, how to reuse them, how to not fill tons and tons of landfills with these massive 900-pound batteries or whatever out of vehicles. So it's kind of crazy. Airbags did come into play by the late 90s and were extremely common by the late 80s, extremely common by the early 90s, all at the cost of vehicle buyers. And we're literally sitting here in 2022 looking at a very similar situation that you almost could change a couple of words in those paragraphs that I just read and be right where we're at with electric cars. It's kind of crazy. So, Scott, Oldsmobile was the guinea pig for GM. I believe they put in a 74 Delta 88 for a short time. I believe it was available in Oldsmobile. I know it was available in Buick. I've heard of a few Buicks out there running around that still have them in there, and some Electras and things like that. I've just seen a few ads for a few that were for sale that still had them. I've heard of 2 or 3 in all the years that I've been in Buick. So, but there again, 7 pages of this stuff. But man, it literally almost everything in there came true, and now we're sitting here looking at it again. So, thought that was definitely worth bringing up and definitely worth mentioning. Number one, can we sue some of those a-holes now that we know it was all BS and we paid for it? Yeah, no kidding. Ain't that the truth? And that's right, James. What about the electric grid to charge the cars? Because that's another thing. The infrastructure isn't there to support them. The recycling process for the batteries is not there to take care of it when it's done. Way, way more unanswered questions than solutions that I see with electric vehicles. Are they cool? Yeah, they're cool. My cousin's got a Tesla. He let me drive. My sister's got a Tesla. They're impressive cars. They're neat. But, there's got to be a plan for this stuff. Brandon, now a guy who has a collection of Buick GNs. Number one, sued Big Tobacco, and that's true. They did sue Big Tobacco. Chevy Truck TV's on here with us. I don't think I've seen you on here with us before. So, Alfred, I'd rather have an old Baker or a Franklin. No electricity problems, and they were very well built. Yeah. BW's here, getting excited, ready for me to pull his name out of the big Buick can. Sebastian, natural gas cars would be better than electric. Yes and no. I mean, natural gas is still a fossil fuel, still doing the same thing as oil. Don't have the infrastructure to handle it. Hydrogen fuel cell vehicles. there again, a lot of people look at those as the answer to the future. But what is the most common source of hydrogen in today's world for a hydrogen fuel cell powered vehicle? It's natural gas. So there again, what are we gaining? Kevin, heard those bags were leading cause of death in some cars. And I think that's, that stuff is what, why we didn't really start seeing them until the late 80s, even though the mandate was put into effect to be for 81. So old school, less people smoking. So government is trying to legalize weed to make tax revenue. Yeah, there's some truth to that too. So James is here with us. Glad you jumped on. Well, number one, where do the aliens land and build cars for us? Not old school. Hydrogen explodes, take down a condo or apartment building. Dad says they had a customer with a 7488 with a steering wheel airbag, and they did not sell it. They didn't sell the car here new, but he does remember it. Dad does remember it coming into the service department, but he doesn't remember they ever had to do any service on it. But he does remember a 7488 with an airbag in it as well. So. Big job. Yeah, let's get on a class action lawsuit. So yeah, and everybody will be dead by the time we got a 37-cent settlement. Yeah, that'd be about what it would amount to. But speaking of big tobacco, let's get into some ads and let's check out some super cool ads from the 70s, starting off with Winston Cigarettes, because I want the best taste I can get, because I get it from a Winston. As always, big macho looking guy smoking his Winston cigarettes. So kind of led right into the ad section perfectly. But that's what they did back then. Cigarette companies, they did whatever they could. Their advertising was already somewhat limited at that point. But, big, strong, macho-looking dude that smokes them for the taste. Not for the tobacco, not that it's going to give you lung cancer or turn your lungs black or look like charcoal or anything. I want the best taste I can get. So that's where their marketing was going. So, what else we got? We got a lot of great ads, so let's keep moving. And like I said, there's tons of ads in here, so I just had to pick out some of them. Like the Winner's Choice Sweepstakes, since we are giving the raffle away tonight, we had to talk about the Winner's Choice Sweepstake from Beverly, Monroe, Firestone, and Ford. It's easy to enter. The hard part is deciding which vehicle you want. You can win a new Pinto wagon, a Ford Courier, a Ford F-150, a Fairmont, or a Fox Body Mustang. Looked like a pretty cool raffle for the day. That's right, Chad says now it's all pharmaceutical ads. Actually, it's like 8 seconds of pharmaceutical ads and then like 22 seconds of warnings of what it can do to you on a 30-second commercial for pharmaceutical ads. So, but I thought this was a cool ad with all the Fords from 1979 right there for the big sweepstakes. Flip up a few more pages. Like I said, there's a lot of cool stuff in here. There's just no way we'd be here forever trying to get through all of them. But when it really matters, put Bridgestone tires between you and the road. Obviously, one of the most iconic cars of the era in the late 70s, a black Trans Am used in the Bridgestone tire ad, very clearly defining, making sure you want to keep Bridgestone tires between you and the road to make sure you were protected and had a smooth ride. Flip forward a couple more pages, and we're going to shift gears one more time to a little bit different of an ad. And I thought this was kind of odd. I haven't seen many of these type of ads. Nope, Kevin, we're not going on a turkey hunt tonight. No wild turkey in this issue. Trust me, I did look. I know again in the late 70s, I'm always watching for the wild turkey ad, but we're no turkey hunt tonight. That's right. Number one says, why does every drug have more issues than anything? What are you doing, Gray Kitty? We got our helper back. Say hi. Say hi to everybody. Yes, you jumped up. You got to say hi. Yes, you're going to say hi to everybody? That's right. There's Gray Kitty. She come back up to say hi. All right. There you go. But this ad was kind of different. I haven't seen him. Buchanan Auto Sales and a phone call from an out-of-a-country pharmacy. Questions about learning to fly? Get Cessna's answer book absolutely free. Cessna 79, we mean business. Literally an ad for Cessna Airplane Company to promote and sell small private aircraft. Haven't seen a lot of that came out. Number one says the cat showed up, you got to chug. Sounds like a good plan, number one. If the cat shows up, you got to chug. Sounds like a good game. So I thought the Cessna ad kind of stood out. We'll throw that up for good measure as well as I'm looking for the next ad. The next ad, like I said, tons of cool ads. This is a great ad. Full color, 2-page, iconic car, a car that is really starting to come into its own. I know Ford built or powered cars have won most major performance events in the world, but the one they're proudest of is a specially modified 1979 Ford Mustang, chosen as the official pace car of the 1979 Indianapolis 500. Great full color 2-page ad of the 79 Mustang pace car for the new Fox body that was coming out. So that was a great ad. Those are pretty neat little cars. You don't see them very often. They sold one. GAA sold one last year with like 2,000 or 3,000 miles on it. That and the matching pickup. So that was pretty cool because you don't see those things pop up really at all anywhere anymore. The next ad we're going to check out, and this is there again. This is so great. This is what's great about. That's right, Sebastian. That's a good poster picture. That's what's great about taking these trips back in time is ads like this. The Craig Corporation has redesigned the car stereo based upon an astounding scientific fact. Cars move. When a car is moving, its receiver has to put up with problems that simply don't exist when it's standing still. So Craig Stereos talking about their innovations for car stereos to make sure that they work and function properly and you get good sound quality while you are moving down the road in your vehicle. Number one, those wheels reappeared on the new 94 Mustang. Yeah, that's true. I hadn't thought about that. They did have a very similar wheel on those. So there again, stepping back in time, and some of this aftermarket stuff is just as cool as the OE because a lot of these old stereo ads, things like that. Yeah, that's right. Kevin says, crank it up. Take a lot of people back to this time period. So that's what I love about going back in time with these magazines. I want to get into some 80s stuff too. So, and while we're at it, let's catch another one. Extra sensory reception from the Midland Mobile Audio Company. Midland I'm more familiar with as far as like CB radios, things like that. But this one had a little bit of everything. Car stereos, CBs, mobile audio, anything with the Midland Audio ad. Showed all kinds of stuff that they're capable of all in one ad. Another cool ad. America's favorite couple, Seagram 7 Crown and 7-Up. Thought that was a pretty cool ad. The old school 7-Up can I thought was great. There again, we're looking back 43 years. It's almost crazy. So, number one, 80s, comb her chest hair and untangle the gold chains. That's right. All right, let's jump up a few more pages here to the sexy new 79 Capri, a miracle under $4,700. The Mercury version of the Fox body, rack and pinion steering, modified McPherson strut front suspension, tack gauges, front discs, contoured bucket seats, slippery new shape that's sexy, under $4,700. That's a miracle. Number one says it's a drink ad, but not wild turkey, but go ahead and chug anyway. So, Jason, I used to fix my mom's 7 and 7s when I was a kid. So, but that brought back a few memories then. Sebastian, that can is cool. They should do it on a limited rerun. Yeah, that would be kind of neat if they would start doing some of that. Now, the next thing we're going to get into, who remembers where we started in this magazine with the Chevrolet Citation, talking about the X platform. Dad said they were a lot more fluff and buff when they talked about them, or when they did the ride and drive in 79. Obviously, they hyped them up pretty good in this magazine, multiple pages of articles on them. Well, Chevy followed up those articles a little bit later in the magazine with a multi-page ad entitled The First Chevy of the 80s, the 19 Chevy Citation. We designed the Citation for a changing world. It really is a whole new kind of Chevrolet, yet it retains many of the qualities you've always demanded in your kind of car, like performance. For people who know what performance is all about, Chevrolet, they start off with just coming down the road in the sunset. Big job car stereos were hot items in the day. And then they made removable face. That's right. Yep, I remember those. Where's the bubble hatch on the Capri? Yeah, that's true. Mick, what's the mileage tax on electric cars? That I don't know. Number one, having a stereo face hanging out of your back pocket. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that meant you were cool if you had a stereo face hanging out of your back pocket. So as we get into this massive Chevrolet ad, we flip to the next page, 2-page, full color, first front wheel drive with Chevy behind it. Shows in the background the front wheel drive with the engine transmission setup, as well as a not kind of a cutaway of where it shows it actually in the vehicle with the outline of the citation around it. Like Dad said, they were hyping these things up pretty heavy in 79. Next page, first compact Chevy with mid-size room and small car economy. This is directly in the middle of the magazine, so if you flop this thing open, this is exactly what you saw. Obviously showing full passenger room for 5 adults and showing even some of the storage capacity with a tuba in the back of this thing. Obviously, small cars were kind of a new thing back then. A lot of people weren't sure if they were going to have room, how they were going to ride, if they were going to have enough room to take their friends with them, things like that. Obviously, exactly what they're trying to address with this part of the ad. Like I said, part of the ad. We'll go into the next page. The first performance Chevy of the 80s, the Citation X11, standard 2.5-liter 4-cylinder rated at 90 horsepower. That was the first performance Chevy of the 80s. So this is the hatchback's X11, sporty steering wheel, available reclining passenger bucket seat. Folding cover conceals luggage when the hatchback is locked. The folding rear area cover lifts automatically. And with the rear seat folded down, the rear area cover is removable for complete hatchback access and capacity. That's another good question. Number one, how many tuba players bought 5-door Citations? I doubt that specific part of the ad sold a lot of Citations, but there's the next page of it. Like I said, they were really hyping these things up. So and finally, we get to the end of the ad. Believe it or not, you've got to drive one to believe it. And it shows all of them, the 4-door hatchback, the 2-door Club Coupe, the 2-door 11 hatchback, the X11 Club Coupe, full color ad breaking down all the different models of the 1980 Chevrolet Citation. So a lot of fluff going into this thing. And I think that will pretty much catch us for Citations for this issue. But we'll catch a few more ads. Then we're going to get into some classifieds. We've actually got some classifieds. The next ad we're going to check out, introducing the new BF Goodrich all-black high-performance TA70 radial. Run them on your Capri. Pretty cool ad. Remember the old BF Goodrich logo. Obviously showing them off on the new Fox Body Mercury Capri. Sebastian, well, as well as cars from the 70s and 80s and 90s become more uncommon and more desirable, may pay to keep a few parts and projects in the yard. I am doing that, Sebastian. I haven't smashed anything in years. So even some of this 90s, early 2000s stuff, I don't have tons of it, but if I end up with something, I'm just putting it around, stacking it out back. Scott said he'd rather have a Monza than a Citation. Nope, don't show any Woody Citations in here. That must have been a little later option. After the initial launch. So there we go. Everybody's getting a little thirsty. The next ad, the original long distance oil saves gas as effectively as leading fuel economy motor oils. The reason I brought this up, picture of the can. We do a lot of oil can stuff on here, and made sure you knew exactly which oil you wanted to grab when you were shopping and walking down the oil aisle. Next page, number one, Chad starting the biggest first-gen Saturn salvage in the U.S. I think I got 1 or 2 Saturns. I think there is 1 or 2 Saturns out there. I don't know what they are. But talking about car stereos, ordering Delco GM Sound with their new GM car can offer you a lot of stereo options right there. Obviously, all the car stereo ads in there, the OEs. Wanted to make sure everybody was well aware they had quality stereo systems you could order right out of the gate as well. Jason has that can even on his shelf, so that's cool. Jim says they even offered a diesel Citation. Chad, was the second gen 80 Pontiac Phoenix the same X body platform as the Citation? That I'm not sure on. The next ad that we're going to check out, though, kind of like the Phoenix, the small car just grew up. The 1980 Oldsmobile Omega, full color, full page ad on that one as well. And the next ad we're going to check out, I bet this one might bring back a few memories, for some of us at least. I kind of vaguely remember these. This is all the way across the bottom of the page, so I'm going to kind of try to hold it up so you guys can see it. This was an ad for the Beverly Hills Motoring Accessories. And these are so great. Custom fitted, genuine sheepskin seat covers. Who remembers sheepskin seat covers from the Beverly Hills Motoring Accessories Company? Right there, the big, thick, heavy-duty sheepskin seat covers. Kevin says Panasonic radios were a big seller as well back in that time period. So the sheepskin seat covers I thought were great. I definitely had to share it. Like I said, this magazine is so full of ads. No way to catch them all, but the sheepskin seat covers I thought were definitely worth checking out. And let's catch one more here, and then we're going to get into some classifieds. Because they did have a few classified ads in this issue as well. But the last ad we're going to check out, this was Pioneer Stereo. You don't have to punch it to get great sound. The Pioneer Stereo Company, Super Systems by Pioneer. Who remembers that one? Obviously, car stereos really coming into their own in this era. We can tell just by all the ads that we're seeing, both from the OEs and all the aftermarket companies, how big of a deal this was getting to be at that point. Sebastian, I'm going to look at a 54 International mail truck that is available. That would definitely be worth probably checking out. Jay says, and the beaded seat covers. Yep. Brandon, the Cadillac Cimarron. Yeah, that was a small car that wasn't very successful. Al's a fan of the sheepskin seat covers. Big Job says, in the winter, they keep your butt warm. Yep. Chad, Pioneer, Kenwood, Sparkomatic, Kmart. I remember the Sparkomatics, absolutely. Buchanan says, the knob. Kevin had one of those radios. That's cool. So that's what's great. That's what's so fun about taking this step back in time so that we can all go back and enjoy it and have a great conversation about it. Let's flip back to the classified ads in this issue. A few cars in here for sale, several pages of it, but a lot of it was other stuff besides cars. But there's 3 or 4 pages of cars, a few of them that stood out that we will check out and glance at real quick and talk about. Bricklands, who remembers the Bricklands? Jason's still a fan of the Craig stereos. 1974 Brickland, number 257, orange automatic, 19,000 miles, $12,500. Also a brand new 1975 Brickland, new untitled, no miles, $13,500. Something, a classic that kind of had an ad in here, 1959 Buick Electra 225 convertible. We say classic, it was a 20-year-old used car at that point. You know, $4,800. Cobra's rebounding already in 1979. 1965 AC Cobra, red, black interior, all original working gauges, 9,000 miles. Does not say whether it's a 289 or a 427. $45,000. I'm assuming that was probably a 427 in that day, but not totally sure. 1957 Chevrolet Convertible, a classic in its time, collector's item, great for restoration. Mechanics are fair. $2,500 for 57 Chevy Convertible. 65 Corvette Coupe, 327, 365 horse 4-speed. 365 horse, I believe, would have made it a Fuelie. Not sure on that. $7,000. 67 Corvette Coupe, 327, 350 horse 4-speed, $8,000. So just kind of crazy to think back about what this stuff was worth. BW had a Kerplunk radio. Big Job's got a Pioneer stereo and an 04 Sport Track. It almost busted the glass out. But there again, you know, some of these cars already had some collectability and some value to them. 1965 Ferrari 330 GT 2+2, 50,000 miles, $11,000. I don't know what those cars are worth today, but it's several $100,000. So but you got to put that into perspective. $11,000 in '79 was like 2 new regular cars. Well, it was almost 3 new citations at that point. So, but there again, still interesting. '59 Jaguar XK150 Roadster, 17,000 miles, completely refurbished, $9,500. They sound crazy, but at the time that was a lot of money. Hi, Gray Kitty. You come back for another visit? Yes, you want to say hi again? There's Gray Kitty. So Gray Kitty made another appearance. Say hi to everybody. Yes, I know. Now, this one I thought was kind of interesting. 1978 Trans Am with new Ray J 301E turbocharger, automatic with shift kit, all power options, tilt cruise, hatch roof, Recaro's racing suspension, black, 12,000 miles. Now, what made this stand out is they want $14,000 for it. This is essentially a new car. May of '79. My '78 Trans Am was sold in July of '78, and it was like $6,000 roughly. I'd have to pull the sales receipt. I've got the sales receipt. I'd have to pull it to see exactly. So $14,000 was a ton of money in that time period. Yes, hello. You come back to help. So Chad wants a Gray Kitty T-shirt. You want to be on a T-shirt? Apparently not. Hudson badge is up though. So I thought that was a lot of money for a '78 Trans Am, even with the aftermarket turbocharger. How about a '57 Porsche Speedster, original California car, absolutely beautiful, unrestored condition. One of the finest all original Speedsters available, $16,000. Today that's 300,000 or 400,000. So there again, but that's what's great. We're going back in time. We're checking this stuff out, being able to see these ads, talk about it, kind of relive what happened back in the day. That's what makes this stuff cool, and that's why we do it. Norma thinks you're cute, dummy. Yes. Are you cute? You're kind of in the way is kind of what you are. There you go. You jumped down. So Gray Kitty hopped down. She exited stage right. So my right. But that's what we've got for tonight's May of '79 issue of Road and Track, featuring the Chevy Citation X11. So some cool stuff in there. Hope you guys enjoyed that as well. Number 1 got his Phillips can. Great. Glad it made it. Yeah, that was a pretty nice can. So glad you enjoyed it. Hope you like that in your collection. Vic says hi, Gray Kitty, too. Yes, you're over here walking around. How about some trivia? Oh, wait a minute. We got another update from Phil. One more update from Phil I need to throw up there. Worldwide had a 91% sell-through rate. High sale was a 29 Duesenberg with 1935 body updates, $2,050,000 plus commission. Bonhams also had 91% sell-through. Total sales $11.3 million. Top price at Bonhams this week $460,000 for a '58 AC Ace. Bonhams had a collection of tired Aston Martins, which all brought decent money for their condition. So that some more updates from our boots on the ground buddy Phil Skinner from Scottsdale this week. Thanks, Phil, for keeping us updated on all that, and glad you got to swing by and hang out with us tonight. So anyway, everybody give a shout out to Phil for keeping us in the loop with, literally boots on the ground updates of what happened this week with these crazy auctions. But anyway, time for some trivia. Who wants to do some trivia? Tonight, we're going to give away another can. This is an original metal Prestone heavy-duty brake fluid can. Nice graphics on it, really clean can, really good condition, original cap. So, information on the back, Prestone heavy-duty high-temp brake fluid for disc or drum brakes. Like I said, original, great condition, metal can. So that's what we're going to do for trivia tonight. Old School likes it. And we're going to time this one. We've been timing them. At the end of the question, I will give you 60 seconds. just to make it a little more challenging, because what's been happening, I know everybody's just going through the videos looking for them and trying to find it. So that's why we're putting it on a timer. Everybody's got 60 seconds after I finish reading the question on the Prestone can. If for some reason we don't get a winner, then we will move the can to next week. So Jason says, thanks, Phil, for the updates. So anyway, tonight's trivia question for the Prestone can. We had a video on a 1953 Chevy 6100 truck the other day. There were some clips on the dash that held the elevator receipts from when they hauled wheat with that truck. What was the name on those clips? We're starting the timer right now for the company on those clips of the dash of the 53 Chevy 6100. And we're going to get ready to give away the raffle pack for tonight as we get rolling. So I'm keeping an eye on both formats for the answer on those clips on the Chevy truck for tonight's winner. And getting ready for the raffle. We're going to go over the stuff again that we're going to give away tonight on the raffle. Getting ready to draw a name out of the big Buick oil can. We're halfway through, 35 seconds past. Keep an eye on both comments. Starting off with the plugs with the cool original boxes, AC and Skelly with original plugs in them. There were names on the clips that held the grain slips, not the grain slips. There was clips on the dash. They had a company on them. It's tricky, I know. Yeah, it's tough. That's tough. I know it's tough. That's the whole point of it. And time's up. I know that's why we're making them tricky. But we're past. So remember, Chad remembers the clips but didn't remember the name, and he remembers that it didn't have a hoist. So Chad paid attention to most of the video, just didn't get the names. But that's the point of making trivia a little trickier. So the Big Job remembers the clips. That's the whole point of making trivia tricky. It really is, because before we just sit here for 3 or 4 minutes till somebody found it. So Jason quits. So Roger says it was a nice old truck. That is a nice old truck. It really is. Yeah, they were kind of yellowed. That's true too. Yeah, they held the grain slips. They were holding all the slips that, from when they hauled grain to the elevator. So we'll move the can to the night. Old School says he'll never win again because he has to go. Don't have time to go find them. So we'll try it. What we'll do, we'll try it a few weeks at 60 seconds. If nobody's getting anything at 60, we may go to 90, but I don't really want to go too much past that. We went to about 1:10 tonight is where we went to. So we may go to 90. If we go a couple weeks and nobody's getting them, we may go to 90 seconds, but I don't want to just sit here for 3 or 4 minutes like we did until somebody finds it. So, but anyway, on with the raffle. Exciting news about the raffle tonight. I promised you guys when I made the post earlier, we had interesting, exciting news about the raffle. So let's get into it. Let's check out the winner, the prizes. Obviously, the spark plugs, like we've checked out, in original boxes. The boxes are great display pieces. So Old School can't remember what he had for breakfast for today. So Big Job says that one's a seller for sure. Yeah, I'm going to see if I can get that truck to hit too. When I get time, I'm going to throw a battery in and see if I can get that thing to hit and fire up. 2 spark plugs going out for tonight's winner. The Texaco Haviland metal oil can. This is drained on the bottom. Top is not punched. Nice, good color on that one. The mobile outboard can. A couple dings and scratches in this can. Still got the awesome Pegasus on it. The chart on the back. Plus, tags. Tonight's winner is also going to get the 1975 Kansas metal plate. This is a used original stamped steel plate. The new old stock 1974 Kansas metal stamped steel plate. The new old stock in original package 1956 Kansas plate, stamped steel, never been on a car, in the original envelope, 10825. The envelope also says 10825, the original envelope for this exact plate. Rusty Nail says we're freezing up on him, so hopefully everybody's hanging in there as we get ready to do this. Plus, the last piece, the 1943 Missouri plate. Jason says he's going to love it. So, there, these were, Chad says, I thought Kansas was Sunflower State. Yeah, it was. It is. I don't remember what this one say on. I don't even remember. The Wheat State. Yeah, they did use Wheat State on on some of their license plates as well. Plus this little 1943 Missouri plate that went on top of your other plate due to steel rationing for the war. So, getting ready to draw the names. Now, what's the surprise? The surprise is we had great participation this month. Here is who is all in. If I don't read your name, I didn't get your payment. If you paid me, then, and I don't read your name, get with me so we can try to figure out what happened and get you in on the next raffle. So I've got Norma in. I've got Sebastian. Al DeLudy. My dad is in. David Woodcocks. Ron Walensky, big job. Lee Carr. Brian Winters, BW's Garage. Mary Guthrie. Jason Withrow. John Bennett, Rusty Nails. And our friend Jose. Jose from Miami. So, that is who is in. If I did not read your name and you paid me or attempted to pay me, be sure to get with me tomorrow so that we can figure out what happened. So that's who we've got in this month. So we had great participation. Jason's already calling his own name as the winner. So, but what I'm going to do, the surprise, and I'm going to change the rules a little bit for your guys' benefit. If we got like 12 or 13 people in this month. So any month we get 10 in, 10's going to be the minimum. We're going to draw 3 names. So we'll have the main drawing, and then we'll have 2 smaller prizes for the second 2 names. So Sebastian saying good luck to everyone. Kevin says he had to pay property tax this month. Yeah, I did that in December, so well familiar with that. So anytime we have 10 people get into the raffle, we will draw 3 names. So that's what we're going to do tonight. So the second name out of the hat is going to get, I'll have to grab another one of these orange tags, but I'll get another orange tag, and I've got a couple more of these 1943 Missouris. So the second name is going to get one of these and one of these. The third name will get one of these 1943 steel war era Missouri plates. So that's the big news for the raffle. Anytime we can get 10 separate names in, we'll go 3. If we're under 10, we'll stick with 2. But if we get 10, we're going to go 3. So all those names that I just read are here right now in the big Buick oil can. Right there. They're all right there. Everybody that I just read off, every chance you bought is in there. Let's see. Number 1 says LA just won. So it's LA and Cincinnati in the Super Bowl. Okay. Let's shake this thing up a little bit. As always, once I pull your name, you're out. So if you're the first winner of the prize pack, then if I pull your name on the next 2, you're out. We're going to make sure 3 people win something tonight. First name out of the hat is going to be the winner of the prize pack with the license plates, the cans, and the spark plugs. So here we go. I got one. And tonight's winner, Ronald Walensky, big job, is the winner of the prize pack tonight. Glenn just says, what's a Super Bowl? So, big job is the prize pack winner. So, congratulations to Big Job on that. Now, second place, which will be one of these little 1943 wartime plates and one of the big orange plates. So Big Job is out. If we pull Ron's name again, we throw it away and grab somebody else's name. So Jason said I pronounced his name wrong. All right. Let's grab another name here. I got one. I got a single. I got a single. Here we go. Sebastian is our second winner for the state of Kansas license plate and the 1943 Missouri wartime plate. So Jason says I still can't read. So there's our second winner. One more time. Let's do it one more time. Who's up for one more time? Let's shake it up good. And let's grab one more name for a Missouri wartime plate. I got a single. I've got a single. Oh, we're going to do it again because I pulled Big Job out again. So we're going again one more time, see if we get a different name. Let's try it again. If we pull Big Job, Ronald, or Sebastian out, we're going to do it again because we're going to another name. We got to get 3 winners. I got a single. Do I got a single? Yes, I've got a single. And David Woodcox is going to get one of the 1943 Missouri plates. So there we've got 3 winners. So I appreciate everybody jumping in. All the participation is really what's making it fun. So thanks for playing along, everybody. And thanks for joining in and making this thing what it is really turning out to be. So congratulations to all our winners. Thanks for playing, everybody. And like I said, if we stay at 10 or above, we're going to draw 3 names for 3 prizes. So Rusty Nail says, Big Job, you want to sell your spark plug. So on names, let me see what I've got on addresses on these. Sebastian, I've got yours. David, I've got your address. Big Job, I need to get yours. I don't have it on this sheet. So anyway, that's where we're at with the raffle. Thanks for playing, everybody. Now, next month, what do we want to do? I've got the pedal car here for us to look at if I can get it up here to where everybody can see it. That's going to be the tricky part. We've talked about doing this. It's going to be big. So I want everybody's opinion on the pedal car. Let me grab it here. Let's look at it. This is a functioning pedal car, but it does have the wrong wheels on it. It has been repainted. It is an original 60s era pedal car, but it is not an original paint pedal car. I don't know how well you guys are going to be able to see it, but here it is. I'll kind of try to show it around best I can. I've got some pictures of it I'm going to post. There's the front end of it, as well as the other side of it, and the tail end of it where the taillights are at. This is an original steel pedal car. It does have the running gear on it. It does have the wrong wheels on it. So it is not a premier pedal car, but it is a good pedal car. It would be a cool one you could play with, not worry about a ton, and still be an original. So my question to you guys is, do we want to do something that big? Then Joe says World War II prop. I'm not giving away any propellers. If we do the pedal car, I will set it at a flat rate shipping of $45. I think it's going to cost a little more than that, but we'll probably make up for that on the raffle. So if we want to do the pedal car, I don't think it's going to pass any safety inspections, old school. David W says it's cool, but it doesn't have room. Kevin says it's cool. So basically, do we want to do something that big? $45 shipping for the winner. Or do we want to just go back to another prize pack? I'm looking for your guys' opinion. Yes or no, whatever you guys think. we'll do what you want to do on the pedal car, or we can do something different. I mean, I can build another prize pack. Everyone wants $45 and a proof of vaccination to Canada. So keep it up, or keep thinking about it. Let me know what you want to do. But put the plugs on an auction. Big Justice, put the plugs back on an auction and we'll sell them off. So, so there again, I don't know if we want to do something that big. I don't know if we want to stick with smaller stuff. When we showed that pedal car on Toy Tuesday a month ago, I said I was going to sell it, and I had 3 or 4 people immediately say, let's raffle it. So that's why I'm asking. I want your guys' opinion. You let me know what you think, and we'll go from there. So Buchanan says do a 70 Kansas plate. So I'm sure I've got some around. We do a little bit of looking, but so anyway, I'll keep an eye out for your comments. As I hear from some of you this week, maybe I'll get some feedback on it. But we'll do what you want to do. We'll do something smaller if we want to keep sticking with smaller stuff. Just I had some people ask about doing the pedal car. I'll throw some pictures of it up, and then you guys let me know what you think. So, but anyway, that's what we've got going. And number one says things should be a major event raffle, like a certain number of subs or views. Now that might be a possibility as well. David W, as you can hang it from a ceiling. Yeah, I had a bunch of them in my buddy's bar. I had like a dozen pedal cars hanging in his bar. They're all stacked next door. We haven't even looked at any of those yet. Jason says, yes, I'd love to give you my money so somebody else can enjoy that pedal car. Chad says, thanks for another fun Sunday. Well, I'm glad you guys all made it. But we got an auction to go yet. We're going to get the auction in, and we're going to talk about a little bit of new inventory as well. So who's ready for an auction on another super cool badge? So the badge we're going to auction off tonight is another early enamel badge, probably 20s era, maybe early 30s. That is a super cool piece. It's got a whammo in the middle of it, but it's still a great piece. This is Rusty Nail says he's got a blue car like that one. This one is for a Buick. Cool badge. This one is about 2 3/8 by about 1 3/4 inches. So this is about 2 3/8 wide by 1 3/4 inches tall. So this is going to be the auction piece for tonight. Like I said, I think this was a late 20s or probably a mid to late 20s piece, maybe early 30s. But anybody that's interested in it, go ahead and start throwing your bids up as we check it out. It is still pretty flat. You know, it didn't get all bent up when it was prying. It was just something whammoed it right in the middle. This was a pressed on badge on the back of a grill shell. So Big Job says, put the plugs up and he'll donate those back to the show. So if you want to go ahead and auction them tonight, or if we can do that too. Old School's in for 10 on the Buick badge. Brand, if you sell a car for, let's say, $4,500, how much is sales tax in Kansas? Sales tax depends on where you buy it at or where the dealership's located at. Rusty Nails came in at 5. We've already got Old School at 10. Sales tax where I'm at is 7.5% because I'm located in the county. Great Bend is 8.25%, but you pay sales tax based on where you registered. If you bought a car from me, I charge you 7.5%. But if you live in a different county, or you change, you pay sales tax based on where you're at. So I would charge you the 7.5%. If the county you live in is 9%, when you went to tag it, you would pay that additional 1.5% in that county at that point. So I've got Old School at 10 at this point. Anybody else wants in, now's the time to get in. I got Joe at 20 on Facebook. So Joe's in for 20 on Facebook. Norma says she's in for 20 now too. So everybody's in for 20. Well, I've got Joe first at 20. So we're going to have to be better than 20. Sebastian's in at 25. So that's where we're at right now. Buchanan comes in at 25. So that's what everybody's coming in right at the same numbers. I've got Sebastian at 25 at this point. William saying good job. He's enjoying the show. So, but that's how sales tax works in Kansas. Obviously that's different in different states, but I charge based on Barton County since I'm located in the county, not in the city. I give you a sales tax receipt showing you what I charged you if you bought a car from me, if you live in Kansas. Now, if you live out of state, I don't charge you sales tax. I just have a form that I have you sign stating you're taking the vehicle out of state. We've got Buchanan in at 40. So that's our top bid at this point. We'll get ready to put this on the timer here in a minute. Old School says he just doesn't pay taxes. It's against his religion. So we'll get my phone set up here, and we're going to get ready to go wrap this thing up. We're going to put 60 seconds on the clock. As of right now, I've got Buchanan Auto Sales in at 40 is the high bid on the Buick badge. A little over 2 inches wide, flat, just the whammo right there on the U and the bottom of the eye. So Buchanan in at 40. We're going to set the timer and go 60 seconds. I will give you a notice at 30 and at 45. And here we go. We're on 60 seconds. Buchanan Auto Sales at $40 right now. Brandon needs some orphan badges. We'll see if we can get some. I got Sebastian at 41, coming in just ahead of Buchanan Auto Sales. Old School taxes, feed, and housing legal aliens. Yeah. So right now, Sebastian at $41 on the Buick badge. BW is going to head to bed. He's done for the night. Glad you were here. Glad you got to hang out with us for a while. 30 seconds has passed. We're down to the last 30 seconds. Sebastian's in at 41 at this point. So we're getting down to the end on the Buick badge. Keep an eye on both formats since we've got bidders on Facebook as well tonight. 45 seconds. We're down to the last 15 seconds. If anybody's going to outbid Sebastian, we've got him at 41, the high bidder on the Buick badge. 10 seconds left. And Buchanan's in at 42. And that's it. Buchanan Auto Sales at 42. $42 to Buchanan Auto Sales. So, I'll talk to you about the plugs, Old School. We'll decide we're going to do those. We may auction those off next week if you want to do that. But regardless, we'll have a conversation, see what we want to do on getting this stuff shipped out to you. So, but I do appreciate your support on that too. So got Buchanan Auto Sales down. Give me a shout tomorrow, or you can use PayPal Friends and Family. My PayPal address is on the text part of this, but I only do Friends and Family since PayPal changed a lot of their rules. And there's the Hudson badge, though, by the way. So be sure to check that out, and you can find that PayPal address on there. You can also do check, money order, whatever works for you, Buchanan. Or, give me a shout tomorrow and we can figure out the details. So anyway, getting close to the end. What else happened this week? New inventory. I only picked up one car. Well, I picked up a couple, but only one thing of any interest. Kevin says auction the Hudson badge. I don't really want to auction the Hudson badge. I will see if I've got a duplicate of it, though. I don't know that I do, but this one's pretty nice. So I think this one's going to be a keeper. But the only thing of interest I picked up this week was a 1967 Buick Special. Just a four-door, wrecked in the right front corner, but a totally complete, unmolested car other than the accident damage. So that's right, David. It could go high. That's perfect, Buchanan. Just give me a shout tomorrow, and we will get this figured out and get it on the way to you. And that's right. That's what I said. If I've got an extra one, I might sell it, but this is a good one. So the 67 Special is the only thing that came in this week. I'll be getting a video on that. We've still got some other new inventory we haven't posted at all. So I got to get some of that done. But what is coming up this week on videos? I've got a 7288 video I haven't put up yet on the 72 Olds 88 Coupe. Got to do a video on the 67 Special. Have not done a video on the 83 Suburban Diesel. Need to get that done. Auction the plugs tonight, says Big Job. Big Job says auction the plugs tonight. Okay. The 67 Special is a four-door, number one. So Big Job says go ahead and auction the spark plugs off. So I guess we're going to have another auction real quick. Thanks to Big Job. Let's look at them real quick so we all know what we're talking about. The AC box does have one of the Old School green AC plugs in it. Like I said, these are pretty much just, display pieces at this point. But it's cool finding the original boxes. That is definitely the 70s era AC. Old School's already got these. So the Skelly plug, These boxes are fragile, so trying to be careful with them. Has a Skelly plug in it as well. If you can see the logo on the Skelly plug right there. Hope everybody can make that out. It's a little fuzzy. Jason's already in for 10 on the plugs. Sebastian's in at 15. The Skelly plug has the Skelly logo on the one side, the plug on the other, and that's how they go all the way around. It's got a little hole on the back side. I've got Sebastian in at 15. Big Job says, come on, people, let's go. Here we go. So auctioning off the spark plugs. We're going to send the cans and the plates to Big Job. He graciously offered to auction these off. Jason's in at 25 on the plugs. Lots of you guys jumping in on these right away. I've got Jason as the top bidder at $25. We'll go ahead and set the timer up here real shortly so we can roll on this. Sebastian's in at 30. And get my stopwatch set up. Jason at 35. We're going to put this on the timer. 67 special it was a steel roof. It did not have a vinyl top. Here we go. 60 seconds on the clock starting right now. I've got Jason at 35 on the plugs. Joe came in at 20 over on Facebook as well, but we're already at 35. Sebastian's in at 37. So keep an eye on Facebook too. Joe's in at 38 on Facebook. So got to keep an eye on both these formats. Everybody's getting excited about the auction. So I've got Joe at 38 on Facebook. We are on the timer right now. We got 30 seconds left. Jason says he's out. So Joe at 38 is who we've got as of right now. Better write this down or I'm going to forget about it. Sebastian's in at 42. We've got 15 seconds left. We are at 45 seconds. I've got Sebastian at 42 on YouTube. 10 seconds left. Keep an eye on both formats. Make sure nobody jumps in. And outbid Sebastian right at the last few seconds. Joe must be done at 38. And there we go. We're up. Sebastian. I've got Sebastian at 42 on the plugs. That's awesome. Thanks for playing, guys. And we'll get with Big Job. We'll figure out how we need to do that and make everything right with everybody. So, perfect. So that's awesome. Thanks for playing, everybody. Had a great time with that as well. And all right, let me get all this stuff noted here. I don't want to forget anybody. So that's right. Yeah, Sebastian, not a problem at all. If you want to send the money just like you did last time in the mail, that's perfect. So, anyway, the 67 special, number one says is a Buick 310. I assume that's what it is. The hood latch is bound up. I don't know. The accident didn't really get into the hood. It primarily just hit right in the front edge of the fender. But I haven't got the hood open yet, but I assume that's probably what it is. Hopefully I'll know soon. I haven't even hardly looked at it since I unloaded it. But I'll get a video on that. Thanks, Big Job. I appreciate your support. He says, my pleasure to give back. That's awesome. Super appreciate it. Joe, what's my prop from? The World War II one I've got is Martin B-26. I've also got a wooden Sensenik. I've got a polished Curtis Reed prop. So I've actually got, what's that one back there? I got one behind the desk here too. That's, there's one piece of a ham standard here behind the desk. So, Sebastian overbid himself on YouTube, but I had another bid on Facebook that outbid Sebastian on YouTube. So that's one thing we got to remember. I'm on both formats and I've got guys playing over here on Facebook. So I'm I'm trying to keep tabs on both of them. So that's what happened. Yeah, it does look like Sebastian outbid himself, but we actually had another bid on Facebook. So because everybody's playing along. So everybody's in the game and that's what we're doing. Let's see. Like Jason says, thanks, Big Job, for letting it. And that's great. That's super cool too that Big Job played along and sharing with everybody. Number one, just ship that Buick up north. So yeah. I need to go back through and see if I've still got your address noted. Number one, I don't remember if I've still got that. I got to double check that and see. Sebastian's excited about the plugs. That's great. Which brings up another point because I have not shipped that yet. Number one, I know a lot of you guys when you win, you say, "Oh, I've got your address from before." you're right. I probably do. It's somewhere in here. So that's why a lot of times, I still, I'll eventually find it, but it's in all of this. Those old addresses from the last time you won is somewhere in here. So, that's something to remember. So if you can help me out and keep me up to date on addresses. So number one, I do need to see if I've still got your stuff. I got to do some digging on that. Let's see. Big Job said everybody makes it awesome, and it's his pleasure to help support. That's great. That's what it's all about. So, okay, that perfect. I'll let you know next week if I can find it or not. But shoot, guys, that pretty much wraps us up. What's coming up? Like I said, I'll get one river car video up this week. I'll get some new inventory up this week. Toy Tuesday will probably be pre-recorded. So, if I can go live, I will try to. But I'm not going to guarantee it since I know I've got to be in Topeka Wednesday at the state capitol for that House committee hearing. So we'll see how that happens, but I'm going to plan on recording something in case I can't go live. So we still have some Toy Tuesday to check out Tuesday night. So river cars, new inventory, Toy Tuesday pre-recorded, probably. And then, of course, next Sunday night, we'll be back here with Sunday Night Live Chat. So we're going to start wrapping up. And I always say start wrapping up because it always takes another 5 or 10 minutes after that as I work through the last bit of questions. But really interested in your opinions on the pedal cars or stick to smaller raffle items. So, and like I said, if we've got 10 people, we'll pull 3 names out. So keep that in mind. If we've got enough people playing, the dollars will take care of themselves to cover the expense. So that's why we can go 3 on that. Norma says, good show. Good luck in Topeka. Thanks. Appreciate it. Lots of people thanking me, and I'm still not sure why everybody thanks me because it's all of you being on here. Our friends on Facebook, our friends on YouTube. It's all your participation that makes this thing what it is. So, no, on the smaller raffle or the smaller auction items, I factor shipping in on them on Sebastian. If we get into something where we have separate shipping, just like we're talking about the pedal car, we'll talk about that separate. So don't worry about it. So. Big Job, best show for me. Great show for Big Job. It was like Christmas. So, Jason says he's going to post some pictures of his stuff on Facebook as soon as he can. So be sure to check that out, everybody. Rusty Nails says small stuff. Stick with the small stuff is what Rusty Nails is saying. So we'll definitely take that into consideration. Buchanan says raffle big stuff for a big raffle. Okay. Number one, maybe we should reach out to Navy Nick and the wheel cover guy for next week. Possibility there too. Roger says it was a good show tonight. Appreciate that. Joe says raffle the pedal car. If he wins, he'll just pick it up. So that might be a possibility as well. William says he had a blast tonight. So really curious as to the feedback on whether we should raffle the pedal car or not. Now, if we do raffle the pedal car, obviously we will have some smalls. If we just draw one extra name, that will be some smalls. If we have 10 entries, then, obviously we will definitely draw 3 and have 2 small giveaways to go along with it. So there again, I'm not sure what to do. We're learning as we go. Even though we've done this almost 100 times. Yeah, as crazy as that sounds. Episode number 98. 2 more to go to episode 100. So we'll see how that goes. Everybody wants to do flashbacks, so we may end up spending, episode 100, 101, just kind of flipping through some old notes and seeing where we started, things like that. So Mary's in on the pedal car. Mary says she wants to go with the pedal car. Joe wants to go with the pedal car on Facebook. So we're getting some support for the pedal car. Kenny, thanks, Chad. What I saw I liked was getting in late tonight, but glad you made it. So we're getting some support for the pedal car, and so maybe we'll do it. We'll see. We'll think about it, see what everybody says next week. Jason, have a blast every week. They just keep getting better. That's great to hear. I'm glad you guys are enjoying it. Kenny says, it's my show, it's my raffle. And I understand that, but it's a big piece. There would be, like I said, I would just make it a flat $45 shipping. If it's more than that, I think the raffle would cover it. As long as we get people in. What type of pedal car is it? I'm not sure what brand it is. I'll have to look that up. Show the pedal car again real quick. All right, we will definitely do that. I know it's kind of tricky to see. It's big, it's bulky, but when I showed it on Toy Tuesday, I had guys asking about raffling it. So here it is. The tail of it. This has been repainted. It's not original. We can see the running gear in it. It does not have the correct tires and wheels on it. We'll take a look at the nose. It is fairly straight. There's no major dents or serious damage in it. Somebody could refinish this and, make it go back to more original, get original stripes for it, things like that. Because all the way around it, there really is not any serious dents or damage. The seat has been reinforced for the running gear. These strips are not supposed to be in here. Those have been added to reinforce where the running gear mounts underneath it. So it does function. It's just not 100% original or correct. But it is a nice body. If somebody did want to go ahead and restore this, get the correct stripes, it would make a cool piece. So I know it's kind of tricky to see. I'll post some pictures of it. It does have a cool front end on it, though. I like the way it's got the tail lights on the back. It's got the big V on the back. So that is a rust hole right there. This has some surface rust and one small rust hole right there. So that's the worst damage that I can see on this thing. So Kevin says looks like a Rambler body. So there it is. It's got some stampings on the hood area as well. So anyway, let's see. What's everybody saying? I'm missing comments while we were up on there. Let's see. Big Job says pedal car would be an interesting auction. We could do that too. Sebastian needs some love, but so does any other great car. Kevin says looks like a Rambler body. Winter one will finish race week. That would be a really long week in race week. Jason says he'd build a custom out of it. It'd be great for that because it is a good body and it doesn't have all the original parts. So if you're going to build a custom out of one, it'd be a good body to start with to do that with. Big Rusty Nell says it's a Ford. It doesn't run. Big Job says shop rafter hanger. Sebastian says might pull some big bids. Joe says looks like a little Ford pickup in the front. Yeah, it kind of does. So I don't know. I'm kind of up in the air about it. We could auction it and do something different on a raffle too. So I'll do some looking around and kick some different ideas around, and maybe we auction the pedal car and then do a different raffle. So we've got complete options. Like I said, I'm going to sell it. So whether and I just as soon sell it to one of you guys, whether we do it on an auction or do it on a raffle and get it into one of your, the hands of one of you, one of us that hangs out together. That's what I would, it's where I definitely want it to go. Kevin says, hit the like button and see you next week. Well, thanks for being here, Kevin. So I'll do a little bit of looking around, see what I can come up with for a new prize pack. And then we'll talk about it next Sunday night and kick it around a little bit more. So anyway, that's pretty much what I've got. Number one, how much for you to have an ice cold mug of suds with us on Sunday? The problem is if I were drinking beer, I don't think my throat can hang in there. I get so dehydrated, because I'm the one doing all the talking. And so that's why I keep sucking down water. So I got no problem having a beer with all of you. I mean, there's plenty of them right there in the fridge. I'm only like 8 feet from them. It wouldn't be too difficult. So Jason says, I'm the brains of this operation. Wow, that's kind of going out on a limb there. You're giving me a little more credit there than I probably totally deserve. So, Sebastian, one of these days he's going to come to Kansas and meet me. That'd be cool if you want to swing by. Yep, absolutely. Just give me a shot to set something up. But anyway, maybe we'll do that. Maybe I'll start having a beer with you guys later on in the show or something as we progress. But that's primarily why I keep my glass of water right here, because I do a lot of jabbering. And I get dry. My throat gets dry. So that's kind of the whole purpose of that. But we might be able to pop a cold one out later on in some of these episodes. So are you getting a cockpit in Topeka to stream from? I don't know, but that'd be a great idea if I get it like into the Air Museum and do that or something. I actually got a friend that's in refueling up there at Forbes. I ought to talk to her. I got a friend that's actually at Forbes and refueling in tankers. That'd be kind of cool. So they do have a great air museum in Topeka, though, by the way, as well. Big Job says good night. Kenny says Jason is correct. I don't know. You guys are giving me an awful lot of credit. So Buchanan says do a big raffle of a 56 300. Yeah, that'd be a heck of a big raffle. Joe, still need an oil bath air cleaner for a 60 to 62 283 Chevy pickup. Don't have anything there. Haven't picked up anything here in the last few weeks along that. So Rusty Nails, you get to drink and things be getting cheaper. So Sebastian, anyone interested in an aluminum bomber ejection seat? That'd be a pretty cool piece to have too. Love airplane stuff, as you guys are all learning. And Joe's on Facebook saying we want more World War II stuff too. So yeah, we'll see what we need to do if we do World War II stuff or if we do some other stuff. We may work back to some other toys or memorabilia for this week. We'll see how things go. Like I said, until tomorrow, I don't know for sure what I've got going this week, because not only do I need to be in Topeka Wednesday, we're supposedly have some weather coming in the middle of the week too. So got to get all that planned out and figured out what I'm going to do. So number one, in the summer, since the Wi-Fi is fixed, maybe you can stream from the front seats of some of your cleaner yard classics. Then I'd have to do everything off my phone, but that's always a possibility. So, Sebastian's got jury duty tomorrow, so he's going to obviously be tied up. But anyway, we're running a little long tonight, which is fine. I mean, you guys are hanging out, and that's what we're here for. Number one says, hope everybody had a better week than the 49ers. And anyway, that's about all I've got. I'll keep an eye on comments for a few more seconds here as we roll, because it never fails. As soon as I hit end, 2, 3, 4, 5 more comments pop up. So I always like to give everybody a minute or two here at the end and let them know that we're pretty much wrapped up. Big Job says the show won't be long if the host will be drunk. Yeah, there's no way I can start drinking beer at 7 and go hard all the way through with everybody. I know my throat couldn't take it. I know you wouldn't be able to hear me at the end, but anyway, that's what it's all about. We're having a good time, and that's all that matters. These last couple Sundays, there's always a few new names hanging out on here. That's what's so awesome, is you guys are jumping in, you're participating, you're bringing your friends in, and that's what's making it fun. Jason's signing off. He says everybody behave themselves. Norma says everyone have a good week. Thanks again for the show. It's awesome. There again, it's great. I'm still amazed that you guys all jump on, come back, and hang out, but you still do it for 98 times now. 98 times. Wow, that's crazy. Lock the chugging cat in the barn next week. So number one says no chugging cat. I don't know where she's at. She's over there sleeping, actually. She's over in the bed. So Gray Kitty, I think you're supposed to stay off screen next week. So anyway, that's about what I've got. William, great job. See you either live or recorded Tuesday. Be safe heading to Topeka, and watch out their politicians up there. And in all honesty, this is what's crazy. Real quick, I called the committee chair, the committee vice chair, and the minority leader, all of the transportation committee. The chair answered, or his secretary put me through. He answered. The vice chair, I left a message for. The minority leader for transportation answered. Talked to two of them on the first call. The vice chair called me back within 2 hours. And that is the House Transportation Committee for the state of Kansas. So I was pretty impressed with that. My local state rep is who's been helping with this as well. But yeah, I was pretty impressed. I talked to all three of them. The minority leader was just a shorter conversation, about 5 minutes. The committee chair talked to him for 10 minutes. The committee vice chair talked to him for 15 minutes. So extremely surprised that, to get through to those guys, be able to have a conversation with them. And like I said, I don't know if we're going to get anything done, but I do know what's going to happen if we don't try. I know exactly what that result is, guaranteed. I know exactly what will happen if we don't try. So that's what we're doing. Let's see. Big Job says, get a talking horse, Wilbur. Yeah. Cement's going to said, see you Tuesday. Number one, some of us work Monday and get really banged up on this chat on Sundays with all the badges and the cats. Sorry, didn't mean to be so rough on you, number one. So we got to keep the cat down. Number one, the Hudson badge and the cat is way too much. There we go, Sebastian. One more Hudson badge flash just as we threw that up. Number one says post the numbers next week and we'll phone them too. Yeah, anybody that's in the state of Kansas, it would definitely help. I don't know if it's out of the state, if it makes any difference, but yeah, you can go to the transportation committee for the House of Representatives in Kansas and they're all there. So, Buchanan say auto sales is signing off. Norma says that is impressive. Yeah, I was surprised. Very surprised. Roger, it's 2:20 p.m. Monday for our friend Roger in Australia. So it's great when I know we get some guys from Australia and I know we get some guys from New Zealand on here. I know it's Toy Wednesday for some of you guys when we do Toy Tuesday. So Jason says he works afternoon, so it's all good. So anyway, great, awesome time tonight. Had a great time with all of you. William, still looking for V8 badges for a 56 Chevy truck. Do not have any of those in stock. Sebastian says it's not that late, so I'm Central Time, so it's not bad. Number one says, tell Roger to mail some Barras over. I'm not sure what Barras are, but whatever they are, number one is a fan. So anyway, Joe says good night on Facebook. Glad you hung in there with us on tonight on Facebook. Hopefully that all hung in there. Cement Surfer, anything we can do. Anybody that's in Kansas, because it's just strictly a Kansas situation. Anybody that's in Kansas that would contact their state representative or senator if it gets to the Senate, about House Bill 2503 would be big. It just depends, but it's all strictly a Kansas-based situation. So, but I do appreciate everybody's concern and support about that too. So, big job. Support the support. To see support for Canada. Look at the support for Canada with the truckers. I did see a little bit of that. That was great too. 350 badges, number one. Any weird 350 badges? Not really that I can think of. It seems like everybody had a 350 badge at some point, but I can't think of anything really weird. Most of them were just pretty much a block badge, no matter what it was. But anyway, that's what I've got. We'll keep an eye out for a few more minutes here. Like I said, every time we get ready to wrap up, I know it takes a little time because everybody's got a few more things they want to say, and that's perfectly fine. That's why we're on a chat. Roger says they're Ford Motors. Bars are Ford Motors. Okay. Must be some sort of an Australian-based type deal for those. So Sebastian says he'll see if he has a Chevy V8 badge and send it to Williams. Okay, that'd be awesome. But that's what's so great about this chat. We've got a community on here of gearheads who stay in good spirits, are supportive of each other, just like the raffle. Every time I drew a name, I saw nothing but congratulations comments pop up for the winners. That's because we've got such an awesome group on here, and that's not me. That is not me. That is you guys that make this what it is. Number one says there's no support for those truckers in Canada. They're disgracing memorials and sacred lands. They're all going to run out of gas and beg the government to fill them up to get them home. So Norma says what is the House bill? House Bill 2503 is what the House bill number is. Hopefully we'll get through the House, and then we've got to start over again with the Senate, and then hopefully get it to the governor's desk. But obviously, that's a long battle. It's a long road to hoe. But there again, if you don't try, results are guaranteed. Nothing's going to change. Yep, that is a la carte. Bucky is just asking about. That is the a la carte. We've got a series of Barris signs we've been working through. Started with the Hero How to Merc 2 weeks ago. Had the Batmobile last week. Got a la carte up tonight, and I've got one more Barris sign next week to wrap up the series on the George Barris Customs signs that we display. So, big job. No voter ID seems too all right by our government. Why start now? Yeah, that's true too. So, but like I said, we'll see what happens. I tell you one thing though. It's been a very interesting experience. It's been a fascinating experience. Worst case scenario, I'm learning a lot about government and how it works. My state rep, Tori Armberger, has been amazing. She's been super helpful. She's walked me through a lot of this. Can't say thanks enough to her. So you never know. Nothing may happen at all. Nothing may become of any of this work that I'm doing, and nothing may change. However, I do know one thing. The only way things get changed is by somebody speaking up and putting some time and effort into it and doing the work. So that's what we're doing. We'll see what'll happen. Norma says she's going to make a call and help support it. That's awesome. I super appreciate that. Number one, BW got a 70 Nova with a 350 and a 350. Wants to surprise him with a 350 badge. Is the 70 Nova a rare 350 badge? I doubt it. They probably make them. You can probably buy any Chevy 350 badge you want, is what I'm betting. So, see, William, cool. Thanks. One on both fenders. So, Big Job says they got deep state scum in Canada too. Yeah, and it's everywhere. I mean, anywhere you go with politics, you run into some of that. But so far, my experience on this project has been very positive and extremely helpful to me. Everybody reads about government. You studied in school. You know, you got a House, you got a Senate, you got a governor or a president, things like that. But working with the process is fascinating. It's interesting. And like I said, if nothing happens, I've learned a lot. And I've talked to these people that do it. I've gotten, you know, hopefully we'll get to meet some of them in person this week. And it's fascinating. And that's the only way it changes is somebody getting involved, working with a representative or a senator to try to make a change and try to make things better for everybody. So that's how it works. That's what we're trying to do. Whether it does, who knows? Nothing may come about it, and we may make some headway with it. Big Job says, run for governor next. I don't think so. I don't think you could pay me enough to do anything like that. So Sebastian says he's going to send some emblems over to me, so that'd be awesome. We can forward them on. But so like I said, and your guys' interest and support is awesome too. I actually didn't expect to talk that much about it tonight. Except you guys had all these questions about the process and what I'm doing and what I've learned from it. So that's super cool as well. Anyway, it looks like we're about done. Finally, lots of questions popped up tonight when we were getting ready to wrap up. So, but that's okay. That's why we're here. Like I've said for months and months and months, ever since we started doing this, we're all learning something. I don't always have the answers. A lot of times you guys do, whether it's here on YouTube, whether it's here on Facebook. It doesn't matter. We're a community, and that's why we're here. Number one was the Level Air Chevy only or all GM. It was available all the way across the line on GM, but very, very rare on a Chevrolet because typically if somebody was going to spend the money to order it, they were buying a Cadillac or a Buick. So Level Air, and I think Chevy was the only one that called it Level Air. I think the air suspension had different names for different brands, but the Level Air is what Chevy called it, but it was available across the line. Vucky says, good night. William says, fenders, thanks. Mick says, hope one of them is a car person. Yeah, and like I said, I've had some short conversations with them, but we'll see what happens. And that's why I want to go up in person to meet them, make sure they understand it's important to me, and hopefully make some changes. So that's why I feel that I do need to be there. And we'll see what happens. But like I said, been a fascinating project, been extremely interesting, and I'm learning a lot. And we all know what happens the day you quit learning something. It's usually the day they put you in the ground. So, and there again, that's what's great about this chat. We all learn because I don't have the answers, but a lot of times a lot of you guys do. We all learn stuff every Sunday night. That's one of the most fascinating things about this. I know I'm going to learn something. You're going to learn something. And that's what makes it great. So, and we've got a Hudson badge. This thing's, I don't know, according to number one, this thing's evil. I don't know. So that's right. Norma says in person's best. That's kind of what I think. So we'll see what happens. But like I said, regardless, I won't forget you guys for Toy Tuesday. And we'll throw something up. I just may not be on live so we can all talk about it in person. If I do have to throw something up pre-recorded, then give us something to talk about next Sunday night. We'll just work into next Sunday night if you guys have comments about it as well, just like we do on all the rest of the videos. You know, anybody that has questions about a video, we've talked about them a lot of videos on here on Sunday nights when we get on here and somebody's seen something in the video they were curious about or weren't sure about or had a question about. So, you know, that's always a possibility too. Number one says we want stories from your dad and with your dad. So maybe we'll see if we can get him in here one of these nights, maybe reconfigure some stuff around so we've got a little more room. Big Job says, yep, that is so true. And that's right. We all learn on here. Every one of us. I learn, you learn, and that's and the thing about it is we're learning about what we love, the hobby that we love, the reason we're here, and that's what makes it fun. So we'll see what happens this week. We're going to kick around the ideas on the pedal car raffle versus auction. We'll get a new auction piece ready for next week. We'll get a new trivia. Well, we got a trivia piece for next week. We didn't get a winner this week, but it's going to be trickier. So watch for the fine details this week. And if we don't get a winner next week, we may go to 90 seconds. on trivia. We got to find that happy medium. I don't want to sit here for 3 or 4 minutes while people go through videos, but I don't want to cut it so short that nobody's getting it. So we're going to work with that balance as well. Next week, episode number 99. 99, that's nutso to me. 99 times, and you guys are all still here hanging out. So, big job. How about that pickup sign behind you? Like we've talked about, these Barris signs are all autographed. This one is autographed right across here. We ordered these immediately as soon as he passed away. My daughter and I had literally been on the Barris website in that time window looking at some stuff we were thinking about ordering. When he passed away, we saw the news pop up that he had passed away. Her and I discussed it. It's like, if we're going to order them, we better order them now because they've probably got a handful of signed stuff left on the shelf. And obviously that's all there's going to be. So we ordered all that stuff immediately and we got it within a few weeks. I mean, it wasn't immediately, but we got it within a few weeks. So these were the last batch of hand signed with certificate of authenticity, George Barris signed signs. There were 4 of them in the set. So we ordered all 4. We'll catch the 4th one next week. That's right, Jason. We're still here. People are still asking questions. We're still chatting. So we are pretty much done, I think, though. So, but anyway, that's what we've got. That's what we've got for tonight. Big Job says it's awesome, and it is a pretty cool piece. So, but like I said, I don't think we're going to be getting rid of any of them because we got the set, and they are all signed with COAs, and they came out of the last stack that he signed. So. That's what I've got for tonight. We went really long tonight. I'm amazed that we've still got a pretty decent crowd on here, shockingly. So our numbers have been dwindling, but that's to be expected. We've still got a pretty decent crowd on here between both formats. So thanks for being here, everybody. I super appreciate you all making this what it is. I super appreciate your participation in the raffles, the auctions. It's all, yeah, Jason, 2.5 hours. That's crazy. I know. And episode number 98. So, but it's all because of you guys. It's not me. I can sit here and talk into a webcam all day long. If you guys weren't here, it would be pointless. So thanks to you for making what it is. Thanks to you for your participation. And throw that up one more time, even though number 1's probably going to cuss me. So, and, Gray Kitty's over there, but I don't think she's coming up. So we better get signed off before she decides to jump in again and get on the screen. So anyway, thanks everybody. Congratulations to our winners tonight. Big job on the main raffle, Sebastian and David on the extra license plates for the 2nd and 3rd. Auction winners, Buchanan Auto Sales and Sebastian on the auctions tonight. Huge thanks to Big Job for donating the plugs back for another auction. Big Job says, good night, nobody's gang. We got to go and let Chad have a beer. Jason said he was just hungry. That's his only reason for leaving. Well, glad you got back just for the tail end as we wrapped up. Because you're an important part of the show, just like everybody is. All of you guys are what makes it what it is. I'm going to jump off. I'm going to get a few more things done, and then I'm going to get home for the night so I can get on the phone in the morning with the Capitol and see what I need to do to have my week lined out. Oh, I forgot one other thing. I started working on my 78 F-250 last night. I'm going to bring you a video on the 78 F-250. Dropped one of the tanks out of it last night. Super nasty, super crusty, full of rust. So I got some 78 F-250 coverage coming up too. If you guys haven't seen the videos on the 78 F-250 I bought about a year and a half ago, you got to check that out. If you're a Ford pickup fan, definitely check out the 78 F-250. So anyway, Dan says, great show. Sebastian says good night. Norma says good night. Have a good week. We're looking forward to the 100th episode. So number 1 says, when do I sleep? I try to be in bed between 10 and 10:30, and then I read usually till about 11. Usually by 11, my eyelids are pretty heavy. I read and I'll get, and that, what that does is that winds me down. I usually get out of the shop between 9 and 10, go home, take a shower, try to be in bed by 10:30. And then I grab a book and I read, and then that takes my brain out of all of this. Sometimes I can only read for 5 or 10 minutes. Sometimes I'll read for 30 or 40 minutes. And then I can get to sleep about 11 and the alarm goes off at 5:45. So I'm trying to be out of bed by between 6 and 6:15 and be back at the shop by 7. That's my typical day. Try to be at the shop by 7. In the wintertime, like right now, sometimes it's 7:10 or so. Sometimes I don't want to jump in a cold truck. I let the truck warm up for a few minutes, but my goal is my target is to be at the shop by about 7 and try to be done between 9 and 10 every night. So lunch is right here where I'm sitting. Bowl of soup, sandwich, hot dog. I have lunch here. I'll run home at 6 for about 30 minutes, eat dinner, and be back down here till between 9 and 10. So that's my typical day, pretty much 7 days a week. Last night I did actually get some time to work on my F-250. So number one, cold in Kansas. What's that, 15 degrees? Yeah, I forget some of you guys are in Canada. So yeah, cold to me says, yeah, it's 15 and I'm letting the truck warm up before I jump in it. If it's 30, I'm letting the truck warm up before I jump in it. I keep it in the garage, so it's usually not super cold, but I do let it warm up before I head down here. So, but that's my typical day. But that 10 to 30 minutes of reading every night, and it's always a different book. I always pull out a different book. And usually they're not car related. I just finished the one on Opel during World War II, but I just started on a biography that my daughter got me for Christmas on an all-time legend, not in the car world, but an all-time legend, made some of the funniest movies known to man. I just started on Mel Brooks's biography, and I am super excited about it. I'm like, 50 pages in, and I love it. So, the guy made some of the most iconic movies on the history of the world, literally on the history of the world. History of the World Part 1, Spaceballs, Blazing Saddles. I mean, one thing about Mel Brooks, he didn't just offend anyone. He offended everyone. There was nobody safe in his movies, which makes them so great. So that's what I'm reading right now in case anybody was curious. So, but anyway, Shopcat's on with us. He got on here towards the end, but glad you made it at least for a little bit. I got to shut up. I know you guys got stuff to do, but that's my typical day. That's my typical day, number one. That's when I sleep. Try to get sleep between 11 and 11:30 until 5:45. That's right, number one. Where are all the white women at? You watched a little Blazing Saddles in your day, I can tell. So, but that's one thing about Mel Brooks. They can't say he was racist because he made fun of everybody. It didn't matter who you were; he'd make fun of you. So, anyway, that's my typical day. Try to be asleep by between 11 and 11:30. Alarm goes off at 5:45. So. Now just since number one was curious. But I'm going to get off of here. I'm sure you guys have more important stuff to do than hang out with me. I'm going to try to get a couple things done. Big job. Mel Brooks is an icon. That's true. I completely agree with that. So that's the book I'm into right now is Mel Brooks's biography, and I am super autobiography. I think he actually wrote it or wrote it with help. And I am super excited about it. It has been great. His original name is Melvin Kaminsky, I think was his actual name. The way he came up with Brooks is even crazier, believe it or not. But we can get into that if you guys are interested later too, how he came up with the name, how he ended up going with Brooks from Kaminsky, I think is what his original name was. But like I said, we can go on forever about that too. I know you guys got stuff to do. I don't want to keep you on here all night. And so I'm going to sign off. I'm going to get a few things done. I can't thank you guys enough for being here. I can't thank you guys enough for your participation. I'm going to get rolling. Thanks for being here. Stay tuned. Check out the videos coming up this week. Definitely hope to see you all back here next week, Sunday night, 7 o'clock Central Time, Sunday Night Live Chat. Episode number 99 will be next week. Holy cow, it's nutso. Thanks for watching, everybody. I appreciate your support. Can't believe you've hung on here with me this long tonight. And we will see you probably next Sunday night. It's the next time I'm probably going to be live. So it'll probably next Sunday night. We'll see you back here. And thanks for being here, everybody. I super appreciate it.